What is going on, everybody? Welcome to part 2 of the Huddle Within podcast. We're doing the Western Conference of the over and unders. We're back here on a Tuesday morning and a Tuesday night here in Melbourne, just before tomorrow's opening NBA season. We obviously had the Eastern Conference recorded yesterday. That should be released Wednesday morning. This one we're hoping to release also Wednesday night as well, so we can have both parts there. I'm back with Kenny. It's 6 a.m. almost there, so a bit more of a respectable time for him.
Yep. Almost
7. Okay, getting my times wrong, but close enough. And then obviously Nathan Campbell as well, back on the pod as well. I think the most excited to talk all things West because we'll be discussing his Portland Trailblazers as well. And I think we'll mention just the Blazers on the new deals. You happy with them? Shaden Sharp, 4 years, 90 mil. Kamara, 4 years, 82 mil. That's probably the latest extensions wrapped up. We also had the Naismith 40 years, $2 million, 40 million 2-year deal done as well after we recorded the pod as well for Aaron Naismith. So those are the 3 latest contracts there. Feeling good about that?
Man, I love the deals. I reckon they've done well, pretty team friendly in my opinion. So, man, they're making moves and I love to see it.
Should we start with them today? Do you reckon? Why not? Start with a bang?
Why not? Let's get it
Let's
going.
do it. Let's do it. All right, we got the Blazers. 36 wins last year. We've taken notes down of the wins. We didn't do that in the Eastern Conference one, so we thought we'd probably take down the wins last year to make it a bit of a reference point, and you guys can follow on the over and under just to determine whether you like it or not if you are listening. So their line is just about that. So they're sitting at 35.5 wins there. So that is a pretty tasty one. But Nathan, I'll leave it for the floor with you to get started on this one.
Man, I think they're definitely hitting the overs this year. And I think it just comes down to the natural progression of the young guys that they have on the roster. I love what I'm seeing from Sharp. I reckon he's got a massive leap coming this year, that 3rd, 4th season type of player that just can elevate his game. And, it was really always down to him not getting minutes in college, being injured and having a few injuries in the NBA. And you see the way he plays and he's got that star potential, in my opinion. Can score all three levels. And yeah, just the other young guys in the team, just Kamara, we have Denny Avia coming from your Wizards, and even Klingon coming into the squad, who looked to be a really solid rim protector. And everything that they've done just points to an identity, and it was something they were lacking in the past, but it looks like they're trying to play fast, they're trying to be dogs on defense. And I know Coach Billups was saying, we want to be that team that no one wants to play. And I think the second half of last season, they really showed that with their defensive numbers, top 10 in the league, something crazy, maybe 6 or something like that. And I was listening to something or some podcasts, and they were saying that only like 3 or 4 NBA teams running that defense for the whole year, that ranking, haven't made playoffs. So look, it's a big ask to go from, out of the playoffs to jumping straight in. I definitely think a play in is probably where they're looking at. But yeah, even having veteran presence with, say, Holiday coming in, who's a bona fide all-star champion, and even just having Dame there for the vibes, he'll be there, he'll be coaching even though he's not playing. I think it adds a lot. And yeah, I almost forget that we have Scoot Henderson as well, and he's still got potential. I'm not too sure how I'll fare with him being in the same squad with Dame and Holiday, but if he pops off, which I think he definitely has potential, yeah, I just think it's only up for them. And yeah, I guess last thing, I can't miss on Yang Hansen. He looks crazy, and I don't know what you guys think, but I was telling you, obviously we spoke about it then, and I wasn't happy at the time with the pick, but just watching his highlights and some of the things he does, I'm really sold on it. And I don't know if I'm deluded or I don't know what it is, but he is a highlight package.
Aren't we all rooting for him, though? We're all rooting for him deep down. We want to see the 7-foot center from China, Yao Ming 2.0, just ball out. Like, I think in terms of minutes, that's probably going to be the struggle for him. Can he be able to stay on the floor and hold out his own defensively? That's the question that I have in his rookie year. But I think we're going to see a lot of flashes and highlights that is going to make him simply exciting, even if it is for 10 to 15 minutes.
Look, and to add there as well, he may not be the best defensive player, but the lineups that Portland are going to be putting out with Kamaraj, Grant, Drew Holiday, Thibault, even Daniavia, they can all defend, and he can clearly be a connector. He's some guy that can break screen. He can pick and pop, and even in his limited minutes in preseason, he was getting multiple blocks, getting 10 points, couple of rebounds, and the coach has even said that Klingon is not going to be a 30-minute a night guy. He's just too big to be moving like that, similar to like a Zubac. So there's going to be minutes on the floor for him, and he's going to have a chance to earn it. So, yeah, I would say that there will be a role carved out for him for sure.
I'm gonna slam the overs on this one too. I think this is probably like one of my. Yeah, I am. I'm really high on this Portland team. I agree with everything you guys are saying. I think defensively, their identity is going to be kind of like continued from last year, and I think it could even be better. With the guys like Shaden coming back better, a whole offseason of some of these young guys building up, maybe getting stronger in the gym, building up their skills even offensively too. Like I think Kamara might come in and be more polished offensively. And he's a big part of what they do, which is why I think the contracts they got for him and Shaden were like
some
unbelievable.
very good contracts.
I
love what they're doing with Portland.
And understanding, knowing like if you understand the cap at all, is like the cap is going to keep going up. Like there's going to be a constant increase for it as time goes on. And to know that, usually that means the salaries are going to go up, like everything else, right? Usually when you inflate that stuff, the salaries go up. So you're thinking like, oh, these guys are going to get like 4 years, 150 million, 120 million. They got $90 million, $80 million contracts for 4 years, like team friendlies on like 22-year-olds.
Very friendly deals.
So yeah, the front office is really cooking over there in Portland. I'm really excited to see how they do. My biggest thing is just as long as their guys can stay healthy, like Avdia. I think Denny is going to have a big jump this year. I think he's going to show he could be a playmaking guy, like average like 5-6 assists a game, at the wing, be like a point forward for them where like, when Drew comes out or, when Dame eventually gets healthy and comes in the game or Scoop, he's going to be able to come in and run the offense for guys and maybe run even bigger lineups like Grant, Kamara, Denny at the point. You can run Yang Hansen at the 4 with the Klingon, like crazy lineups. There's going to be so much. And Chauncey, this is going to be a big year for Chauncey, in my opinion, because obviously, since he's come in, it's been a little bit of up and down between when he first came in, they were like with Dame, and then they came into this rebuild. And now this is kind of like the uptrend now where you want to see Chauncey really show how good of a coach he is.
I thought he was gonna actually not continue with the Blazers, but it seemed that the players really were rooting for Chauncey, and he's going to get an opportunity. He got re-signed for this season. And yeah, the players love playing around him. So I think that's a bonus, and that's a big plus when your boys and your team backs up the coach. They're not quick to let him down and want him gone. So that's a big plus for me. I think that, that's probably the big outtake that I got from Chauncey. It's good to see that he has another opportunity.
When you have the backing, when you have the backing of the locker room like that, it only shows in the results usually because then teams are bought in, they buy into your system. And like you could see in the second half of last year, everyone thought they were just going to throw in the towel, just tank the rest of the year and be like a bad team and then just try to get a high pick. They ended up like pretty much competing the entire rest of the second half of the year. They were like they were over 500 by 10 games at some point. I think they were like 23-14 at one point in the second half of the year. And it was like something crazy. And it was like, how is this team doing so well? And then you look at the defensive stats. I was like, wow, this team really leveled up. So I'm excited for them. I think they'll be very good if they continue that level of play. And if everybody pans out, Shaden balls out, Denny balls out, you got Klingon coming back second year. Even a guy like Rob Williams is big for them if they could get him back for a full season or at least a majority of it. I think they'll be easily. I think, like you said, a play-in team because obviously 45 wins in the West is kind of tough. That's not even a guaranteed playoff spot sometimes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think they'll definitely get over that win line of 36. I personally think they're like a borderline playoff team at the best, and I think they can even be better. If they prove me wrong with that, that's great. But they're definitely my league pass team for sure. Like if I was going to watch any team, they'd probably be my number one team.
Yes, sir. Love that.
This one's a tough one for me because I look at the West and I think it's super stacked, and I'm thinking, can they really surpass last year's success? I know that obviously a whole nother year of this team and that going back of that identity, it looks good. So for that alone, I will take the over. but honestly, I'm not confident about it because of how deep the West is. But both of you, there's not really much to say and add on. You've made really good points. I love what the Trailblazers have done with these new contracts, getting in young Hansen. I'm a massive fan and I'm really rooting for him. Denny, former Wizard, also on my fantasy team. So I'm hoping he becomes elite and can average at least 40 fantasy points for me and be their main sort of offense. But the struggle for me that I see is, are they going to be able to generate a consistent offense to get themselves to get 36 wins? That's a big question. But again, I think the defensive stats just puts me over slightly, though. I don't think they hit 40 wins. I think that they'll be competitive in a lot of games. I just think that the offense needs a lot of work, especially on the shooting side. It will help when Scoot comes back in. He's going to have that veteran sort of presence with Drew Holiday and also Dame Lillard mentoring him. So I think that's going to help big time. But I think they're definitely missing some offense on this part. Jeremy Grant needs to go. I think we all can agree on that. I think that's someone that's just dead weight, and I think a move for him would be the best for the organization. Maybe bringing someone and taking a swing on a player that is probably slightly overpaid but can provide a scoring punch. We spoke about Kobe White on the Eastern Conference. They could be traded to a competing team for a 6-man. Would I like to see Kobe White in a team at the Portland Trailblazers? I don't know, but I think it's something that's captivating and pretty interesting. And I think the contracts would work. I know you're nodding your head, don't like it, but I'm thinking where the offense is going to come from because there
All
isn't
I'm
any,
saying,
in
bro,
my opinion.
is I've seen those CJ McCollum, Dame Lillard, Norman Powell starting three. I don't want none of that. I mean, we had Anthony Simons, that small guard that just shoots and don't defend. That ain't Portland anymore. They've gone another direction. And like you said, this team has built an identity which doesn't include that. The type of player we would need is someone that fits in like a Aaron Gordon, that type of prototype. Even like you were saying the other day, Lauri Markkanen, not to say that this will be the season we would go for a player like that. I definitely think this year is more a foundation builder. You consolidate what you have your picks, and then you get rid of some dead weight next season. The Thibaults, the Rob Williams, Dame comes back, and that's when you really go for it. So yeah, I definitely think the offense is probably the biggest issue with this team, but I wouldn't be throwing in your hat into the ring for like a Kobe White at this stage. Just run the young guys and see what happens.
I would think more just to get rid of Jeremy Grant to do it rather than actually like thinking that Kobe White's going to answer any problems.
Yeah.
But yeah, very true. Very true. I think, yeah, I'm going over, but I'm not confident about it. I'll be honest, just because of the offense. But the defense could prove me wrong there. But we'll move on. We'll go to the Utah Jazz. They're sitting at 19.5. The worst record in the NBA last year, 17 wins. Shocking. Purposefully tanking, holding a lot of players ransom, especially Lauri Markkanen, who we've spoke a lot about on both pods. And yeah, I'm taking the under on this one. Like, I think they've already lost a lot of players that they had last season that could have got them a lot of wins, especially Jordan Clarkson, who has got that scoring. I think they tank again. I think Danny Ainge knows what he's doing. He understands the process right now, and they're clearly the worst team in the NBA, and it's not even close. And especially with the Western Conference, I think they could even go to like 15 wins. It's that bad because for me, the only people that really excite me is obviously Ace Bailey as a rookie, and I still am holding on to my Keontae George stock, but I think I'll sell if he doesn't do anything this season. But he's someone that I think can provide them a bit of scoring touch and give them some production. But everyone else is kind of just waving there. Like, I like some of their players, Isaiah Collier, Brian Sensabaugh. They're nice, but they're not anything that suggests that they're going to blow the roof off their stadium. Like, I'm going to clear under on this one. I think they want to set up for another top 3 pick. They've got other picks moving forward, and they're definitely going to move off Lauri Markkanen in January.
I'm going to just, I think this is under as well, potentially, but if they were to go over, I would say it's like by a win. Like, I don't think they're going to win more than 20 games this year. I think they're like borderline. I think I would probably have them better than the Nets right now, surprisingly, just because of Markkanen. And I think Markkanen by himself will get them probably some wins in the beginning of the year, like if he pops off for some games. But like, One thing to keep an eye on with them is they didn't extend Walker Kessler. That's another guy, another one of those young guys that were supposed to get an extension, didn't get an extension. So, like, what are they going to do with him? Is he also
He's
going to be
gone
moved
by
out?
January. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I
Yeah,
think
I
a
think
playoff
him
team will
I
want
think
to
he
get
might
him.
be gone. I think you're talking about if he's gone, Walker Kessler's gone, you got Laurie gone, all these guys gone, then I think you're really looking at a depleted roster there that, like, it's just really Ace Bailey, Keontae George, some other young talent that they have. Taylor Hendricks is pretty good.
Sensabra,
I like
Isaiah
Taylor I like
Colliger.
Hendricks too. I think Hendricks could
Is
be
he
good this
back
year.
from that crazy injury?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he has been. Yeah,
think he's back, yeah. So he'll be
That's
back.
good.
I
he
think
nice. He nice.
maybe if not, he'll be back probably very soon. But
They've got Jalen
yeah,
Williams'
I'm
brother
gonna
as
take
well,
the
and
under here.
Flip.
Yep. Yeah, Flip too. I'm gonna take the under here. I think it's like very close, but I think the under here is good. I think they'll be like 18, 17 wins, if not just that 19 mark. I don't think they're gonna be good at all. So yeah, I'll say under.
Yeah, what you're saying, Kenny, is like if they get rid of any more pieces, they're just restarting the rebuild again because I think they're just lacking so much quality, even quality young players. I know you're high on George and Collier, Daniel, but I don't really see it. And, I still think there needs work done there at the point guard, the shooting guard. Obviously, Ace Bailey's going to come in. Hendricks looks okay. But yeah, if Laurie's gone, they really need to net some young guy, take a flyer on him because, yeah, there's really not too much going on there. So I'm probably smashing the unders there as well. I reckon around the 17 mark again, same as last season. But I really wouldn't be surprised if they had less.
Watch out for Walter Clayton Jr., I will say, as a rookie, to
Yeah,
come in and
he's a good.
provide some guard depth.
He's definitely a good watch piece for sure because he looks like he can really shoot the ball, and I think
He's a
if he could
shooter.
turn into like their version, like obviously he's not going to be Steph Curry, but you know what I mean, like that kind of archetype where he can shoot the lights out, create plays with his shot making ability. He could be really good for them. I think just watching guys like him and Ace Bailey this year are going to be the big keys because if you could have two guys right there that you say, okay, like we have two guys that have star potential or really high potential, you kind of go forward and say, okay, we could build with this, add another draft pick next year, and then you kind of take it from there, But, having a guy like Ace Bailey, you want to see what he does this year. And I think it's just going to be one of those things where he's going to shoot like 25, 30 shots a game, maybe like average like 20 points a game off that, try to get himself a rookie of the year, try to get a feel of the game just because off of just the fact of like the lack of talent on the roster. So, yeah, it's going to be like a really bad season for them.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's a lot of learnings for them, but screw them anyway. They purposely tanked last year. It was actually a joke how bad they tanked. They tanked worse than us. And like if they do it again, there's going to be some investigation there. There has to be a stop on it because
it's not good.
And they got what they deserved. They got a freaking 5th pick. Ace Bailey is good, but yeah, they're probably going to do that again. I reckon. I suspect. We'll move on. We'll go to a competing team, and that is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Last year, they had 49 wins. They're sitting at 49.5 on their line at the moment, which is quite tasty, I would have to say. Back-to-back Western Conference Finals is no steep feat. Pretty impressive for a team that has been built really well, and they're well coached as well. I think Chris Finch is one of the best coaches in the NBA. The stuff that he's done with the Timberwolves is very impressive. I think that losing Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to be a big loss for them. They do have young players that can probably handle the load in Terrence Shannon Jr. and Jalen Clark, who I think are very solid defenders. Will we see more minutes for Rob Dillingham? I don't know either. I think it's time that they're probably going to rush him to that because I think that Mike Conley doesn't have many years left for there. So I think some guard play for Rob Dillingham might come in, but not sure if he's entirely ready yet. But I'll leave the floor for you guys to start with your unders and overs before I get to my side, in my opinion.
I'll start off. I think I'm gonna take the under here. I think they're gonna have a lot of growing pains. I think to start the year. I think Ant and Julius will be fine. Obviously Rudy, those guys, they have McDaniel still. Their point guard situation though, I think they're gonna be running Dante at the point, and that's gonna be a little bit different than what they've had previously. Like Dante's not a natural point guard. He's more of a 2. He can run point, but he's not a point guard, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like Mike was more of a natural guard. And I agree. I think they're gonna end up elevating Dillingham, Terrence Shannon Jr. up a little bit to give them some minutes because they're gonna need it because they lost some depth last year. I'm not a big believer in their team in the regular season as much, like especially in the West. I think there's other teams in the West that I kind of like better for the regular season. I'm not saying they're gonna fall to like 45, 44 wins, but I just think 40, like for them to get 50 wins, like I don't know. I think it's gonna predicate on a lot of things. And in the West, I feel like it's a really tough like conference to just say, okay, like especially with some of these other teams that we're gonna talk about, they're like on the lower end of that, even though I still think they are a Western Conference contender. Because again, Ant in the playoffs played really well. Julius last year showed he could actually play really well in the playoffs too. And it's going to come down to like how Dillingham, Terrence Shannon Jr. look for them and their depth. Because I think the starting lineup is pretty self-explanatory. They'll be a good defensive lineup. They'll have some good offensive moments. But we kind of saw last year there was a lot of growing pains there. They had a lot of ups and downs. And I think there's going to be a lot of that this year with more younger guys coming in the mix. So I'm going to take the under here for this. I know it might be a little controversial because, again, like everyone loves Minnesota. They think, Ant's, an upcoming guy. Could be an MVP candidate this year if he balls out. But I'm going to take the under here. I think they have a little bit of a slight fall off from last year. And yeah, that's kind of like how I see it.
Yeah, I'd probably echo this unders for this one as well. Like you were saying, the starting five is solid. You can swap in DiVincenzo, Conley, but Conley's getting old now. Always got injuries, and it looks like that team really does need just a natural point guard there to space the floor, set everyone up, because we know Ant's going to get his. But yeah, they've got a lot of young guys, and there's obviously upside with them. But with young guys, obviously they make mistakes, and in the regular season, they're going to get time to play. But that may result in some losses along the way. I'm really interested to see what they do to actually upgrade the squad. I feel that with Naz Reid and his emergence and, how impactful he's been, obviously he's been coming off the bench, but he definitely deserves a starting role. And if they're going to move away from Gobert because they've signed Baron J anyway, maybe they can fill that cap and get someone that's going to, be a wing that can score for them, or just something to help the bench because it looks really, really light at this stage. So I really believe in the Wolves when come regular postseason, because postseason they always lock in and they're just dogs. And Edwards runs that squad and they're well drilled, seatbelt as well. Yeah, they're good guys to vibe with. But regular season, if they get one or two injuries, they may be struggling there. So yeah, I'm going to hit the unders on this one.
I'm taking the overs, boys. I think that the bench depth may be young, but I think that I've seen enough of Terrence Shannon Jr. and Jalen Clark to fill the void of Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And I think they're going to take their opportunities big time. Yes, I'm not fully sold on their guard play, but I think that last season, them getting 49 wins, despite how up and down they were, was no steep feat. And I don't think that those issues will be the same, given that Julius Randle locked up and locked in the playoffs as well. He also, if you did see, got off the weed as well. So it looks like he's all locked in. We also got Rudy Gobert that was not playing Eurobasket this year. It's the first time in his career he hasn't played Eurobasket. So I think he's going to be fresh, alive. And I think this team last year took them a long time to figure out their lineups, their rotation, what was working. And now they've figured that out in the playoffs. And I think they'll translate into the start of the season. I'm very confident that they actually will go over. And I'm actually putting them in as a third seed. I'm really actually keen on what the Timberwolves would provide. And it's another year of Anthony Edwards in the league, which means that he's going to take another step forward as well. Remember that Anthony Edwards is probably an all first-team NBA contender and is the future of the league, the way that he goes about his attitude and everything. And I think that's no steep feat. When you have someone that's generational like Anthony Edwards, they'll always propel you to heights that are unimaginable. And you saw that with the conference finals. Like no one would have thought the Timberwolves could ever make 2 conference finals. And I think this year it's going to be very important for them to be in a good seeding position to get that. Last year they got it as the 6th seed. That won't work this season. I think a 3rd seed is what they probably will aim for. They'll lock in. And I think I'm taking the overs on this one clear.
Yeah, to add to that one, Chris Finch is a great coach. So he'll figure it out, I'm sure. And I just hope those young guys get a shot and Dillingham pops off, because if the young guys do pop off, like you said, they're probably an overs.
I think if the line was lower, I'd probably say over, but I just think 49.5, like, I know again, like the West is so strong, and not that I don't believe in them. Again, I just more so think that like regular season they'll have their struggles here and there, and I think again like they'll have nagging injuries. Randall sometimes now misses some time with some type of issues. I think Rudy always in and out of lineup sometimes too. But they have some guys like you said. I'm excited to see Joan Behringer though too. I think he looked pretty good, and I think he's kind of shown flashes of being like a really nice athletic big that could step in and kind of even be like a new Gobert for them if anything,
Sure.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
He led his class in shot blocking, so that's no steep
yeah,
feat. So
yeah,
I think every time you hear that stat, they end up coming in the league and getting 1 or 2 blocks a game. I feel so. The same thing
Always,
happened
yeah.
with
yeah,
Clegan
and
last
that's
year.
always
The year
valuable.
before was Walker Kessler. So yeah,
And that's always valuable though. If you look at it, like every time you see that those guys usually end up always panning out to be some type of rotational pieces because if you could play some defense in the paint, get some stops down there, it opens up a lot for you on the perimeter to kind of play some better defense because now you know you have that backline anchor. So, having another guy like that could kind of learn from Rudy too, I think that would be big for his development this year. But again, I think I agree with you. I'm not saying like I'm not taking the over, but I do think a guy like Ant Edwards, if anybody could propel this team over 50 wins, it would be him. So it makes sense. But I'm just going to take the unders just to the strength of the West. But I see where you're coming from.
sweet. Well, we're starting good. We've got the Clippers next up, and they're also sitting on 49.5 wins. And I think this is where the differences are going to come in play because I've put Minnesota over, which means I have to put the Clippers under. And the reason why I am putting the Los Angeles Clippers under is because of, I guess, the age. Look, I love their roster. Don't get me wrong. They've picked up some really good players like John Collins and Brook Lopez. Bradley Beal on that contract is someone that's more respectable than the contract he had before. And Chris Paul. I get it. Their team so-and-so has improved. However, I just don't think they're going to be able to run with the Young Bucks and be able to compete against teams where I think that they'll should win, and also teams that they definitely are better than them at the moment when it comes to seeding. I have to put the under. I'm sure that both of you are probably thinking over, but as it presently stands, I don't think that they are better than the Minnesota Timberwolves at this point. So it's hard for me to justify them getting 50 plus wins. I also think, given the age, they might prime to just keep a playoff spot and not push for lots of wins and just make the playoffs. And the biggest issue as well on top of that is just this Kawhi situation. If Kawhi, one, can be healthy, and two, he gets past these issues where I think these type of issues, they may not on the surface look as bad and might be direct to just one owner or not, but I feel like it can funnel through and seep through the organization as well. So that's something to look at too, and something that I've considered when doing this sort of take. But if Kawhi can be healthy, I'm sure that I could be proven wrong here, but I'm going to go off the under on this one.
Go for it, Kitty.
I'm going to take the overs here. I think Kawhi's going to come in this year and look healthier. I think from what I've heard from reports, he does look like the healthiest he's been in a couple of years. I think James Harden, I know he's older now, but I think he's a natural floor raiser. And you saw last year where the team really wasn't coming in and everyone was like, oh, like the Clippers are going to be a play. Like people probably were ruling out the Clippers last year. And I thought they were going to be at least pretty decent because, again, I like James Harden. I think Zubac is a great center. And they had some guys rotational pieces, but now I feel like they're like 10, 11 deep, where it's like I look at their roster and I'm like, wow, like John Collins is a big add for them. That's another guy that Utah lost. I forgot about. John Collins is a big add for them. He's going to add a lot of dynamic in their front court that they need, with Derrick Jones Jr. also still being there. They got Bradley Beal, who I think Brad Beal next to James Harden with a real point guard could show he could still be a good spot up shooter, get some points, average around 15, a good 15, 16 a game, right? I think Zubac's going to have another big year. I think he's a great defensive player, but also offensively, he's more polished than people want to like truly believe. I think he's going to show that again this year. Brook Lopez is a backup center. I mean, that's awesome to have as your backup big. Again, you're asking him now from going from 30 minutes in Milwaukee next in like a more depleted team to kind of just be a bench role, rim protecting, shooting big. Like that's so big, I feel like, for them too. Chris Dunn coming back. You got CP3, the vet. He's also a natural floor raiser sometimes. Just having him on the floor, I think, is going to be big. Just looking at their team, Bogey, they got Bogey there now. Like, you look at their roster, and I just think they're so deep. They address a lot of things. Like, they can shoot the ball, they can defend. The only thing is, like you said, is their age. So obviously health can be a concern, but I truly believe Kawhi will be healthy for majority of this season and maybe play at least 65 games. I think he'll be back to being like old Kawhi. And that's why I'm going to believe in them. I think they're around a 54 win team this year. Personally, I think they're going to be I think they're going to be a top 3 to 4 seed in the West personally too. So, that might be a hot take, but I truly believe in this team, especially in the regular season. Playoffs, we'll see how they come into it, but I think the regular season, you look at guys like Harden, naturally a great regular season player, Kawhi, obviously a good postseason player, but he'll help them get wins in the regular season. Yeah, I just believe in this team a lot in the regular season. Playoffs, I guess we'll see, but regular season for sure, I think they're like a 52, 53 win team minimum.
Yeah, I'm probably echoing the same thing as you, Kenny, because I've got a penciled in for that 53, 54 wins as well. I'm smashing the overs on them as well. I just really like how they've put together this roster. Obviously, they've gone all in. They have no young guys, so they're not going to be pushing pace. But we know how steady Harden and CP3 can be, and I really think having Bill in from training camp, he's going to acclimate to the squad. He's going to play his role. And Dan, the best version of Bill is a role-playing Bill, 3-and-D, can shoot, not doing too much on the ball. And I think with age or how it went in Phoenix, he's probably come to realize that, maybe that's the best chance of winning. He's got his money, doesn't need to do anything crazy now. So, yeah, I really like what they've put together. And I know you didn't name drop Nicholas Batum. I know he's old, but he's still such a good glue guy.
I like him.
Yeah.
He's a leader.
And he just seems to be that glue guy that can shoot, can defend. He's that leader in the locker room. And, they're not short of leaders in the locker room. But yeah, even just having John Collins there to be a rotational center who can, be that more athletic type of defender when Zubac or Brook Lopez aren't doing it. They got that versatility in their lineup, and yeah, I'm smashing the overs on this one. I really love what they've done.
This team gives me a lot of all business, no like games kind of vibes. Like they're coming in this year locked in. I think a lot of those guys are hungry, especially a guy like Brad Beal who came from Phoenix, which was like a clown show kind of run the last few years, right? With their owner kind of being all over the media, and then KD always having something going on, and then again like him and Book were kind of just trying to play ball, and it feels like at the end of the day, Beal was also never fully healthy dealing with stuff. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. But again, I think the age is obviously concerned. I think it's more concern for the postseason, though. I think regular season, these guys are going to ball. I think they'll ball out regular season. Postseason is a big question for me, depending on matchup. But regular season, they're gonna have some highlights, man. This team is gonna be really fun to watch.
I think they have to, though. This is like their last go at it, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
But they've just been a disaster class for me since the trade and just since being the Clippers. Like, I don't like the Lakers. I've made that very clear, but this truly is the baby team of LA, and they've proven that. They haven't won a championship. Their organization hasn't shown me anything besides maybe that Western Conference Finals. And I know this is not the playoffs, it's a regular season, but there's a lot of egos there. I just don't trust it. But I can see the case, especially given their team and lineup. And I think the one thing that we probably all forget to mention is that Ty Lue is coaching this team as well. And I think he's a very, very good coach. So yeah, it's hard for me to argue it. And as much as I want to, you've made some very good points, but I'm still taking the under on this one. We will move on to the Houston Rockets. They're at 52.5, and last season they got 52 wins. We'll start with Nathan on this one, just to give us a bit of a lapse on this one. I think 52 wins last season, and now adding Kevin Durant and obviously Dorian Finney-Smith, some few other acquisitions. Be interested to hear your take.
Like I said in the previous episode, I really like what they've done for their roster. Getting KD it's going to address the issues scoring in the front court and even in the half court offense, because they're really lacking that in the playoffs, and we've seen that the struggle shooting really impacted them. But yeah, with the Rockets, it's a funny one. Now that Fred VanVleet is out, he's clearly a guy that's got championship pedigree. He handles the rock, he can shoot, he can play make. So obviously it's a big step in for Eamon Thompson, who looks to be a bona fide star in the making. Got that length, can defend. but it's hard to say because 52 wins is a lot, and I think all of us last season thought, damn, they took a big step, and usually it's one of those first season wonders, hits you early, and the next season you're just wondering, I don't know if they can really hit 52 again. So I've got them right on 52, so I'm taking the unders just slightly. Because I think there's going to be growing pains with this squad as well, working out their rotation, how everything works together. Katie's not going to play every game there as well. I like what they've done in the center position. They've got the depth. But yeah, just really interested to see how Reed Shepherd pops because he looks to be a great player. He can shoot, he can dribble. He just needs an opportunity. And if he starts popping, then yeah, I'm sure they can get to around that 52, 53 mark. But yeah, I think this team will be primed for playoffs, but I reckon there'll be just some rotational things early.
I'm very high on this team. I'm very high on them. I think they'll probably be a top 2 seed in the West, maybe. Like I think Denver's in that tier list too, right there. But I have a few teams I have as 50 wins plus teams, and this is definitely one of them. I think they'll be I think they could even get close to 60 wins. I just think I love Sengun. I think Sengun is a big piece of what they're going to be this year. He's going to have a leap. I think Reed Shepherd is going to have a bigger jump too this year and be a playmaking guard for them. I think he's going to step into the role nicely, be a great shooter, scorer for them, but also be able to play make a little bit. And he showed even for his size, he's a good defender. He could play some defense, which is good. He's active in the passing lanes. I'm more so just curious to see the lineups because, like, you've seen, I don't know, I think the lineup got released already, but the lineup they're running tomorrow is so big. It's going to be Amin at the point, Katie at the 2, Jabari Smith Jr. at the 3, Sengun at the 4, Steven Adams at the 5. Like that's a 6-8 plus lineup right there, 6-9 plus lineup going against OKC, which is going to be very, very exciting to watch. I think because you're going to see like the defensive versatility these guys can have, and you're not even talking about Tari Eason yet, right? I just think this team is going to take that leap into like I think Ime Udoka is I think he might be the best coach in the game personally. I think he might be just because the way he's able to elevate talent, able to figure out situations, make his teams kind of like always a top. Like every team he's been on, I think has been elite defensively at some point in time. And I think this team is going to be elite defensively yet again. They have so much length and size, and you're not even talking about. Like, I think they also picked up Clint Capella. If he's healthy, he could be a great backup big for them. Like I think they're going to be close. I'm going to slam the overs here. I think they might be close to 56, 57 wins. The Fred VanVleet miss is what's stopping me from putting them at 60. I think their line would have been much higher with Fred VanVleet there, but I think Reed Shepherd is going to come in and play really well for them, and I trust I think the leap from Sengun is going to be the biggest thing for me. He's going to be so good this year. I think he's going to literally look like another Jokic type player where it's like he's getting triple doubles like consistently with Katie on the team now, where he's going to average like. No, I think so, man. I think he's going to be a stat sheet stuffer this year, dude. I think he's going to be so good. He looks so good at Eurobasket. His body type, he's look at his body. He's jacked now, dude. He got bigger.
Who's going to give him the ball? We've had a point guard.
Dude, yeah, he might
He'll take the ball.
He might need to be the point center at times, man. He'll be big, and you look at the way he plays. I think that's going to be the big thing because Amin, I think, is going to take the leap too and just be a better player. But I think Sengun is going to be the guy people aren't talking about enough that's going to really show out this year.
This is a hard one because I've got the Timberwolves over for myself. I think they're a top 3 seed this season. Then I have to think about the Nuggets, the OKC Thunder, but I still think the Rockets in the regular season will have a better win season than probably, believe it or not, the Nuggets. So I'm going to go slightly over. And I'll save that for the Nuggets take, and I'll explain that why after when we get to the Nuggets. But I just think if you have 52 wins last season, you're adding Kevin Durant. Obviously, you're losing Fred VanVleet. It's Kevin Durant. Like at the end of the day, he's gonna win you games on his head. He's just a bucket. They missed key clutch player in those last 5 minutes throughout regular season and playoffs. And now they've added in one of the most clutch scorers of all time and arguably one of the greatest scorers of all time in Kevin Durant. And I think that he loves to play. He loves to play basketball. I think he likes being in Texas as well with the tax-free money too. And their defensive versatility is going to be allow Kevin Durant to just focus on the offensive side. I'm obviously high on Sengun, not as high as you are, Kenny, with some of those outrageous takes, I think, with the Jokic stuff. But I think he will be very solid, and I think he will take a leap. I'm
Crazy.
just struggling to see if he's going to get the ball as much as you think with Kevin Durant, but I still think he'll be very serviceable. Jabari Smith's on a good contract. I'm expecting him to take a leap as well. I'm hoping that happens for his sake too. And I think that they're big players to bring in someone in before the All-Star break as well. They've got players like Jayshawn Tate, Josh Okogie, Aaron Holiday, and Tari Eason, as much as I love him, that are all very serviceable assets that could be very solid players on other teams that they can attach a pick or two to probably bring someone in that can help them out. I think that will get them over the line. I think that they sit at their line exactly and get 53 wins because I do think that they probably meet up there and fighting with the Timberwolves, maybe a bit more just to get ahead of them. But I just feel as though that 1 through 4 is going to be very competitive when it comes to those wins. And I don't think anyone's going to really crack the overs by a lot, especially on their other lines. Maybe OKC, but the other 3 definitely not. So that's why I'm taking the over, but very slightly. Just wanted to take a moment to thank you guys for tuning into another episode of the Huddle Within podcast. If you do enjoy episodes like this, or this episode specifically, be sure to leave a comment and a 5-star review wherever you do get your podcasts. It'd be also great if you could like and subscribe wherever you do get your podcasts, so we can continue to show this out to people that see sports exactly the way that you do. But without further ado, let's get straight back into it. All right, we're moving on to the Phoenix Suns. They're sitting at a line of 30.5, 36 wins last season. They were obviously depleted. They've signed on Devin Booker for $70+ million for 3 years, which is crazy. That contract is wild, but I wouldn't be complaining if I was Devin Booker. 30.5. I'm going to actually go over on this one, believe it or not. I think
that's crazy.
That 31 is where I'm thinking. Like, yes, they lose a lot of their players, but I don't think they're going to be as terrible as people think. I think because there are some other teams there that are quite terrible under them. And I think that Devin Booker, still solid. Jalen Green's got a lot to do. But yeah, I'm just going to take the over for this one, to be honest.
You can't say that with a straight face.
I heard,
come on,
Nathan. I saw you said something. You said it was crazy. I don't think it's crazy at all. Actually, I'm gonna take the over too. I think I think it's good. I think they'll get to 34, 35, but this is just one simple reason. Dylan Brooks has not been on a team that hasn't made the playoffs in since his rookie year. He always elevates his teams that he's on. His teams always end up being good when he's healthy, of course. I think there was one season in Houston he wasn't healthy and they didn't end up making it, or they barely missed it. But he is a floor raiser. He's a guy that comes in and instills a culture that is competitive. Teams that he's on for some reason, even though I don't think he's that great of a player. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's a great player. But for some reason, he just comes in and his team around him just becomes better. They just get better. They become more competitive. And I do think he brings a different type of mindset than guys like a star like KD would, or even Brad Beal. And I think Devin Booker now is going to come into his own. I think he could even average 28 and 8 as a leading guard. I'm not saying they're going to be some playoff team. They might just.
I don't think they'll make the playoffs.
But I think they're but I think 35. And honestly, I don't even think they have any choice but to compete, because I don't even think they have their draft picks. But 35 to 36 wins, I think is attainable for this team. I think they have some depth that I'm actually surprised they actually have some good depth pieces, but I just, for the simple reason, Dylan Brooks is my guy. I gotta give it to him. I think they'll get 35 wins. I think they'll give him 35.
I was laughing before because the way Nathan was looking at me, and I couldn't. It was hard for me to justify it, but there's not really logical reasons as to why I think they'll go over. There's just something that I have. It's just an inkling feeling that this team will just figure out a way to just get at least 32 wins.
I think people are looking at them trading KD, and you'll think the betting lines are probably saying, "Oh, just take the unders." But realistically, this could be the team that end up surprising everyone going over, and it's wow, so many people lost money taking the under on this. I just think they're an over team somehow.
Yeah, if Portland no disrespect, Nate, can get 36 wins last year, not make the playoffs or play in. What's to say that the Phoenix Suns can't do the same? Is like
I think they
what
can.
I'm getting at. And I'm not saying that the Portland Trailblazers aren't better than the Suns, but I just think that they still have that experience through Devin Booker as well. And I think that a new
And
team
Jalen
here,
Green. You forget
yeah,
Jalen Green
Jalen.
still on the
And I'm
team.
not sold on
The most-
Jalen Green.
the
I'm
most
not sold
shot
on
chuckers
Jalen
wins.
Green.
The
But
shot chuckers
I like
wins.
Mark Williams. I like Royce O'Neal. I definitely like Dylan Brooks. I think we're all here, Team Brooks. All of us are big fans of him. I love the
You
way
like
he
him?
approaches the game.
I
I don't
like
give a shit about his trash talking to older teammates. I think to stay in the league, you got to be a villain. You got to be someone that's locked in, and he's actually proved it. People glorify Pat Beverly for the same thing. So I think Dylan Brooks is in that same category. So yeah, and I like Malowach. I think he'll provide some good center depth as well. That's going to be very exciting as too. And yeah, they've got some players that want to win. They may not be as good in terms of depth wise as last year, but I think they're going to be way more cohesive. So I can't see them dropping 6 wins, but I'm sitting at 32 wins as a respectable target.
Man, I don't know how you guys are so confident with this Suns team. I mean, if I was a Suns fan looking back 4
You're
or
making
5
it
years
act like
ago,
we're saying though they're going to make the playoffs, but like it's only 32 wins I'm asking for.
no, I
Yeah, I
feel
think
you,
they're
but
like a prime 33-49. They're like a 33 and 49 team. They'll have 33 wins, 49 losses, be like a 12 seed, and that's it. That's like the over right there.
Yeah,
But
that's what I'm thinking.
I don't
maybe
think
I'm
they're
crazy,
gonna be
but
crazy.
I'm smashing the unders. Like I was looking at 25 wins with this team, and I know it sounds crazy to you guys, but when you're looking at this depth chart, it's just lacking. Like you've obviously got D Book. We obviously know he's a bucket. He's going to get you 30, right? Double Booker. You're not going to win a game with Jalen Green. I'm sorry, he's not going to win you games. Brooks, I love that guy, so I'm not going to give any slander on him. But then you're looking down the depth chart. You got Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Ryan Dunn, and then all the other depth is at center, and you can only play one of them. You got Mark Williams, Richards, Iguodala, Malawach. Like you can only play one of them. It's crazy to me. Last season they needed one center, and the season they don't need him, they get 4. Like that don't make sense to me. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
they're not a great run organization. I'll say that, but they're just I think just Devin Booker, Brooks. I think even Green can end up having a good year this year next to them, but I just think that I just see them being like that 33, 34 win team that everyone's like, okay, like they're mediocre. Like they're good, but they're not great. Like they'll have some I think defensively they're gonna be better than people think. Because I think that's where they're gonna win a lot of their games is their defense. Because they have a lot of size, they have a lot of length, the wings. But
Which
they're all
teams
and then Devin Booker will bring it home for them in the clutch. You know what I mean? But
which
I
teams
just
are
think
better than the Phoenix Suns right now? Like if you were to choose. Nate,
Are you
Like,
which
telling me?
teams?
I can tell
Yeah.
you which ones are worse, but that's about it.
Yeah, which ones are worse?
I've only got 2 teams below them, and that's like the Pelicans and Utah in
You
the
don't think the
West.
Sacramento Kings are worse than them?
No, I don't. I
I don't know. I
don't.
got Sacramento. I'm a lot lower on Sacramento.
Yeah, me
than-
Hey,
too.
I'm
We'll
not high on them, but I'm
we'll-
real low on Suns.
We're
So-
going straight. We're going straight to the Kings because they're coming up next. So yeah, they're 34 and a half. Like they
Yeah,
had
I'm slamming
40
them.
wins last season. Like you want the same rant that I have about the Bulls. You can basically copy and paste that
Bulls
and
of the
put this
West.
into the
They're
Sacramento
the Bulls
Kings.
of the
They're
West.
the Bulls of the West. They've got DeMar DeRozan and they've got Zach LaVine. They traded that for them. They've got they're just a shambles. Like the Kings over under. Like that for me is why I think
their offseason has been head scratching though too. Like you pick up Schroeder and then you go and get Westbrook now. Like you have
did you guys see
filled up
that crazy
and
That is
meme
crazy.
that
yeah, and then
the
you have
crazy
Devin
meme of
Carter
Schroeder.
sitting there. You have Devin
Yeah,
Carter
I've been
sitting
seeing the
there.
Westbrook memes. Yeah,
You see the Westbrook
Yeah.
meme when they said Schroeder is getting waived by the Kings? That's crazy.
dude. And then I
Anyways.
seen like a DeRozan being like, at least I sit on the bench with my mate. I'm not dogging
Not
him or
even just
leaving him.
to start the season off too. They Sabonis is coming into the season banged up. He's got a grade 1 ACL sprain, so
Yeah.
that's going to be something that's going to be nagging him to start the year. And you need him to even have a chance because like he's obviously their best player and he's easily their most impactful player too on both ends. You need him, and if he's not there, I mean, I
They're a
just have a
mess.
hard time believing in them. And I also think they're I don't like who's their coach again? I'm not a big fan. of their coach either right now. I think they have like they picked Doug Christie.
Doug
as a
Christie.
coach.
Doug Christie is the one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of him. I don't think he didn't do a particularly good job since taking over from Mike Brown. I think he's a downgrade there, and I just think they're a mess. Like Malik
They're
Monk
shambles,
is still
man.
there. They have Malik
Came
Monk
back.
still there. Where does he fit into the mix? Because now you have Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Russell Westbrook, Dennis Schroeder. Like he was relatively good for them, and now you're kind of just
He
back
was
seating.
until they got rid of their best coach and got rid of their best guard because of getting rid of
Yeah.
their best coach, and
You
they
can't
had
be
an
getting rid of
identity.
their
They
coach,
liked to
man.
blame. They shut the bed. They frustrated me because they were a team that made me excited at a stage where they had to light the beam. They had
They were
Mike
fun.
Brown.
Yeah.
They were so fun.
Their identity is
just
gone
amazing.
as that.
It's just
They're not
scattered. It's
close.
become the Bulls. You've got Keegan Murray still there, but he's going to be out for a while, and he's taking his money, but not going to be playing. The only players that I'm really excited for is obviously Domantas Sabonis when he's healthy, and Keon Ellis. Keon Ellis is a nice piece for them.
But him now. But look, where's he fit in the rotation now? He's another
That's
one
the
that I
thing.
think he's going to get
Team's a
moved at the
mess.
deadline just because they have no room for him. They have no room for him in the rotation.
I'm so confident on the unders for this one.
I will say
that's why
one
I give
guy.
Phoenix the over.
One guy I like on their team is their rookie, that dude Nick Clifford that they drafted. He looks really good. He's the only bright spot for that roster right now. He looks really good. Like he looks like a dynamic. Like he could do everything. He passed the ball really
And
well.
the
flashes
Kings will
and
find a
everything.
way to fuck it up. They haven't won a playoff match in 20 years. You've heard of the Essendon Football Club, Kenny?
Yeah, I know.
They haven't won a final in 25 years. It's the same shit with the Sacramento Kings. There are just organizations that suck, and Sacramento Kings is fucking one of them. And it shits me because they were good for one time. And I can't give them 35 wins. I can't.
They're an under team just because the line is also really high, but also for the simple fact that if you looked at everyone a couple years ago or the last years is always like the West is harder than the East, right? The Bulls in the East, that the core of DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and like Vucevic, whatever, in the East was like barely winning 35 games there. They weren't even winning that many games.
Facts.
So it's
exactly what I was thinking.
So you put them in the West now, where it's a lot more competition, even down to the 13th seed. Like we're talking about, you mentioned the Pelicans earlier. I don't like the Pelicans are bad. Don't get me wrong, but like they're not as bad as some of the teams that they had to face in the East at the time. They're actually coming kind of like comparable talent wise. They're probably better than a lot of the East teams that they played at the time. And I would say that team is just going to fall apart fast. They just look like a team that's just going to implode. Schroeder's not going to probably play well being in and out. Westbrook's going to like hog the ball, and him with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan in the lineup is going to be woeful.
Can you imagine them three running the lineup with those three together?
You're talking about shot chucking? That three-man lineup defensively is not going to do anything. And then offensively, you're just going to see Zach LaVine having to take pull-up threes and hope he goes for one of those games. But he always has one game a year where he drops 9 threes. Just know Zach LaVine, one game a year, he's going to have that crazy 40-point performance. But that's it.
I'm telling you now, I'll put on the Sacramento Kings one day randomly. If I still see a lineup of Westbrook, LaVine, and DeRozan on the floor at the same time, I'm turning that shit off.
Yeah. I'm telling you.
Let's go, Nathan. I'm keen to hear your thoughts on the Sacramento Kings.
And Keegan Murray's out too, by the way, just to put it out there. Keegan Murray is also out.
Yeah, I mentioned that before. He's out. Yeah, it's a shambles. Fuck them, man.
Hey, not going to lie, you guys make good points. And, you know, it's got me thinking, but I still think... I'm still thinking, though, this team, when healthy, they're quite deep. But I don't know, looking at this roster now, I'm thinking... They can't defend anyone. The only person that can defend is Keon Ellis. The rest don't even defend. I'm talking about Schroeder, Westbrook, Monk, LaVine, DeRozan, Murray, Sabonis. Damn. But no, honestly speaking, though, they are a bit of a head scratcher. I was hitting the unders for them anyway. I just think they're getting more than the Suns. I'd be having them around 30 to 33 wins. But yeah, they're just a weird makeup team. Like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if they implode.
Operating as a competitive team. That's the weirdest part about it. They're operating as if they're going to be a competitive roster this year.
They're going to compete. No way.
Yeah, they compete. But that's the way their front office sees it. Like their front office has come in and said, "Oh, we're trying."
Their front office is freaking delusional. Let me tell you. Get me in there, and I'll change that team. I swear.
You don't bring in Dennis Schroeder with a 4-year like contract unless you think he's going to come in and like make you a better team.
I do like him.
I do like him.
I like him. I like him. I think he deserves a contract.
I just think on a good team, I think he'd be better. Like for Detroit last year, he was great for Detroit last
He's
year.
probably going to get traded in Jan. He'll probably force a way out and go to a
That's what I'm
competitive
saying.
team
But
because
like,
everyone knows his
you know, the
value.
problem is no one's gonna. But he's a backup point guard for like a great team. Like you're talking about, like look again, Detroit. He was a great player for them, but he was a backup point guard. No one's trading for a guy to be their bench player, to be like a 4-year, like a $70 million player. He's like, what is he getting paid? Like $60 million, $70 million, something like that. I don't know what his contract is exactly, but he's getting paid a lot of money, and it's insane.
It's definitely a desperation move for sure.
Yeah, they're
It
trying to
is
make the Kings look good by getting another guard on top of their 3 other guards that they have that are all over 30 years old, and
then
together would be
you're
a nightmare.
shafting
And then they've
Devin
got
Carter
another
another
guard.
season.
Yeah, it's a shambles. I mean, if you think that they're better than the Suns, fair enough, but at least you have them on the under. I think them
I
two.
definitely have them on the under too, but I just think, my Suns pick, they're way down there. So, look, I will say though that the Suns do have a better start than probably what Sacramento have. I would say he's probably better than Sabonis, but yeah, I just think that, DeRozan and Levine, they're going to pop off some games, get you wins, and they're going to stack some easy wins against some East teams. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. They do have a solid 10 in terms of rotation wise. If they can catch an off day, they can score. They're going to play fast. But yeah, they wouldn't be able to guard a code. So yeah.
Fair. Well, unders on that unanimously. Different views, but we'll take it.
Yeah.
We'll go on to another captivating team. I think one of the most interesting teams in the West, the Dallas Mavericks. 41.5 they're sitting at. 39 wins last season. Looks like Nico Harrison has worked his magic somehow, getting in Anthony Davis and Cooper Flag for Luka Doncic. Whatever you take of that, they end up landing the best player in the draft. I don't know how the fuck that happened. I've given my rant, but the Mavericks fans, including Matt, shout out to him, will take that. And they're sitting at a very compelling line. 41.5 is very interesting because I think if this team is fully healthy, they could easily get that. But I think I'm going to go on the under on this one.
Really? You going under?
Damn.
Yeah.
I personally think they're going to go over, but not by much. I think they'll go like the 43, 44 wins. I think they're going to be decent enough until Kyrie gets back. And when Kyrie gets back, they'll have like a good second half of the year.
That's why
I think
them doing it.
But if you look at the roster, right? If you look at the roster is essentially the same. It's just they added Cooper Flag. They literally just copy and pasted Cooper Flag to that roster. And Cooper Flag is going to be an impact right away.
But that was bad when that roster got made. That was when the trade happened and the team imploded.
Don't forget, because AD was also injured. That's the biggest thing. AD got hurt.
Is that going to happen? Is that not going to happen again? Are we sitting there saying that AD is going to play 60 plus games?
I think he'll play 60 plus. I just think again, like, I just think the roster itself, but they have a lot of big man depth. They have a lot of depth at the big though. The thing is, like, they have Lively, Gafford, PJ Washington,
Kenny, hypothetically, right? Because I'm so passionate about this. Let's say Anthony Davis, right, gets injured. How many wins is this team getting until Kyrie Irving gets back?
I still think they're good enough to get at least 35, 36 wins without Kyrie and AD. That's my personal opinion. I think they'll get 35, 36 without either of those guys.
I love Cooper Flag, don't get me wrong, but one season of Cooper Flag isn't going to save you.
No, it's not even.
They're looking to play him as a guard as well. They really don't have you can't trust D'Angelo Russell there. So
it's not just Cooper Flag though. I think D'Lo will be good enough for them to be like just a serviceable playmaker for now. I'm not saying he's a great player, but he's not bad by any means. I think he'll be good enough. The biggest thing is they still have Klay Thompson, who I think can still shoot the heck out of the rock. PJ Washington, you have Gafford and Lively, who, like, again, you have a three with AD. That's 4 bigs right there that all could play kind of not all four, like they could all play the center spot, and they all have their own unique skill sets. And I think AD, obviously, my opinion is I think AD is probably going to be a lot healthier this year too. I think he'll be. It's funny. I think this is going to be the year we see guys that were naturally healthy be healthier this year, and then guys that were like naturally healthy probably end up getting injured or something like that. Sometimes NBA is just weird like that. Sometimes that's my opinion.
I've seen it too many times to see the same trends, man.
But
I can't trust AD.
I think Cooper is going to be insane off rip. I just think defensively they're going to be a good team. I think they're going to be a good defensive team all year round, and that's going to be the backbone of the roster. The biggest point comes to their offense in okay, if D'Lo and Cooper aren't creating for them and AD's not there, let's just say you're right, AD's not there, let's say he gets injured, the offense becomes a lot tougher. That's the part that I think where Jason Kidd's going to have to work some magic, get some plays called, try to get the ball moving a little bit, and get some guys involved. That's where I think they'll make their money, is if they could figure out this half-court offense without Kyrie Irving. But I think that's going to be their biggest struggle this year, is the half-court, because I think they'll push the pace on the run. They'll be a really fast-paced team if they could get on the run with Cooper Flag and guys like Gafford and Lively running the break, and D'Lo too. But defensively, I think they'll be a good team all year round defensively, with or without AD. I think they'll be good defensively enough to be a 35, 34-win team. I think without AD and Kyrie, they are better than the Suns. They're better than the Kings. They're better than, obviously, the Jazz.
I agree. I agree with that too. I just think
I think they'll be like again, I think they'll be less than, like, for example, Portland. We all rate Portland highly. They'll be worse than Portland without AD, but with AD, they're like on par or better. And then with with AD and Kyrie, they're a contending team with all their guys healthy. If they get healthy for the second half of the year and they're in the prime playoff spot, I'm telling you, I'm watching out for them, bro. But again, I think over. I say over by like a win. I'm not saying they're going to be like a 50 win team.
I have them under by a win as well. Like,
I think they'll be like in that. Yeah, they'll be like that 40 to 40, like max 44 wins. I think that's their range right now. With the injuries they're dealing with Kyrie and possibly AD too throughout the year, they'll probably be around that range.
40-42 or 40-41 for me, and that's hits them over. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, you guys make good points, and probably on what Kenny's saying is, like, AD has had a lot of time playing at center, getting banged up. Now he's playing as a power forward, and I think that's a big, big difference to the body, because, he's not coming up against 7'2", 7'3" guys banging him in all day. It's going to be on the perimeter. He can take time off plays, and I don't know what the win percentage is at playing power forward, but I feel like every time I've seen him there, they've never lost a game. Every time I've tuned in, they just win. So, look, if AD's healthy, this team has definitely got a floor of 40 wins minimum. And I think back half of the season is when they're really going to push, when they get Kyrie back. And even looking at their guard rotation, they got Russell. Obviously, Exum comes in to be a taller, defensive ball handler. Hardy can pop, get points, and so can Brandon Williams. If you've seen some of his highlights, he's got handles. So, yeah, I do really like the depth of this team as well. And I did note that they were floating Najee Marshall playing as a point guard as well, and he was like a 6'7" ball handling guard as well.
He was really good towards the end of the season. He was probably one of their best scoring players, which was quite a nice surprise.
And I know you don't talk about having a scoring punch, and I probably agree to an extent, but defensively, they're going to be sound. PJ Washington has shown that if you need him to ISO ball and spot up and shoot, he can get 20s and 30s any given night.
30s? So, I don't know about 30s. Maybe 20s? I'm not going to give you 30s.
20s, 30s. Any given night, 20s, we'll take that. And yeah, even people forget Max Christie. He's a handy player too. He 3-and-D, he can shoot, can move the ball. And yeah, I think it just comes down to Clay. I'm not really a Clay believer, but if he stands in the corner, shoots some good shots, they're going to get wins. So I'm hitting the overs, probably around 44. And like I said, I reckon they're going to come strong and they'll really gear up for the playoffs.
Cool. Very interested for the next one as well. San Antonio Spurs. Last year, 34 wins. This season, they're sitting at 43.5. They obviously got Victor Wembanyama, who I think we can all say is a lock for the Defensive Player of the Year if he does hit the game's minimum, which I think he will. They've picked up some pretty solid role players in Luke Cornett, who I think is going to be a very big acquisition for them as well. They also get Kelly Olynyk, who's also an opportunity for them to use in a few minutes in case Victor needs to have a rest or not play 5. They obviously pick up a defensive pest in the draft of Carter Bryant, who I'm a big fan of. And they also have Dylan Harper as well, who they picked up in the draft as a rookie as the second pick. Don't ask me how they got that, but again, they'll take it. Stefan Castle's coming off a Rookie of the Year season, who's looking to take a leap. Devin Vassell is still there. He's always injured, I know, but he's someone that can, on any given night, is someone that can actually get you 20 points as well per game. I really do like the San Antonio Spurs. I'll leave the over and unders for you guys first before I get to mine. But yeah, very confident with this team. And come on, Victor, he's an alien. He's unbelievable. Kenny, he's your guy too, first pick in the draft.
Well,
So
I'm big
remind
on
him
him.
of that.
Big on him. I'm gonna start off. I'll take the over here. I'm not gonna take it by much. I think they'll be better. I think they'll be better than last year, of course. And I could see a world where they go under depending on various things. Obviously, they're still very young, so it's like, their inexperience could cause some growing pains. But I think they're a prime spot for a play-in this year at the very least. And I think Wemby will give them a chance to even make a playoff spot, obviously, whether it's a 7th or 8th seed, maybe even push for a 6th seed potentially. But I think, again, like, there's a lot of strength up on top of the West I have to account for, but they are now going to slowly be a part of that, especially if Castle takes that leap. So I'm looking at Castle, and De'Aaron Fox being out is tough, but I actually like it for now because I think it gives Harper and Castle a lot more leeway to kind of control the backcourt
100%.
until he gets back. So I kind of like that a little bit for them, and I think it's going to help them a lot in the long run because I think Fox is already a proven, established vet in the league. We know what we're going to get from him when he comes back. But I think having a guy like Harper get minutes on a starter caliber level and get some reps in the starting lineup with Harper, with Castle, with Wemby, with Vassell, I'm not a big Harrison Barnes fan. I'll be honest with you. I think he's the one piece I think they could kind of expedite away and get a better piece there.
I think
Maybe a better
Calvin
4.
Johnson's also, you could add that to the list too. I think him as well.
Keldon Johnson. And I mentioned this in the Eastern podcast, but this is another team. I don't know if Danny Ainge will trade with them, but this is another Lauri Markkanen team where I think if he goes here, imagine him with Wemby.
They've got the picks for it. They've got the
juicy.
whole.
That's what
They
I'm
have
trying to
the whole.
say. So this is my point that's why I'm saying Lauri's a big piece because there's going to be multiple suitors I think are really good fits both East and West. And this is the team in the West, I think. And anybody that could get him, that has the
100%
assets to
agree.
get him, and they could make the push from him. And I could see it. Again,
What's your mock trade? Would it be like
I think it
someone like
obviously involves
Sohan?
I think it obviously involves Harrison Barnes. His contract, I think, is big, but I think they're gonna want Keldon Johnson back too because he could kind of play he could play from the 2 all the way to the 4. Harrison Barnes is more of a 3, like a natural small forward, power forward, but Keldon could kind of play the 2 all the way up to the 4. He's kind of a smaller guard and a smaller big in a sense, like he's a smaller wing, I should say. He's like 6'5", but he could play multiple positions. He has versatility. I have to kind of look at their depth chart a little bit, see more like kind of any other additional pieces, but I would say overall,
I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking Vassell is
I
going to
would
be
say maybe
centerpiece.
Sohan. You add Sohan in there too. You could add Sohan because I don't think they need
I
Sohan.
don't think they take. I don't think they take Johnson and
No, but I think they'll
Harrison
listen.
Barnes
I
'cause of
think,
the
for
contracts.
example, right? Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just the contracts with that. But I think Harrison Barnes' contract with like a Sohan and like I think Keldon Johnson's involved with that. Again, I think they have a lot of depth and enough depth here to like kind of sacrifice a little bit, especially with Carter Bryant being there now. Yeah, especially with Carter Bryant, and they added Julian Champagne, who I think is really good for them too. He's a really good backup shooter for them.
His brother's better. His brother's better at the Wizards, man.
Brother is better. Actually, funny enough, I actually saw them in high school. I played against their high school growing up. That's so I met them before. Both the brothers. Yeah, it's a fun fact. I actually do know them.
Crazy.
Not personally, but I've met them before. But yeah, I think as a package is surrounded, like you said, like Sohan, one of Sohan, Vassell, Keldon, Barnes, like one of those guys, or a package of those guys with a bunch of picks could entice Danny Ainge. And imagine a 5-man of like, let's just say they keep Vassell, and then you have like, let's say Sohan's gone, Barnes is gone, picks are gone, whatever, and you got De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, Lauri Markkanen, Wemby. That team right there, and then you got Dylan Harper off the bench. That team right there that's scary. Scary.
They're big players.
You skill set of Lauri Markkanen with Wemby in the back, like that 2-man, that big man lineup right there. They're versatile. They move. They can move too. They're not like slow 7-footers. They both can move. Like that's scary. So again, that's my take on it. I think they're in that race for Lauri as well down the line. But I think they'll be as their current roster stands, I think they'll be a 45, 46 win team. Maybe be a play-in at 7th seed. Again, with the West, how strong it is that, sometimes 46 wins is a play-in spot. So yeah, I'm high on them, but I think there's a chance they could, inexperience could hurt them here. But I'll say 46 wins over.
Yeah, I definitely hear you with San Antonio, and I think the line is at the perfect spot for them as well. Like going through their roster, they've got great young assets, and this team is only going to go as far as Wemby. Really, if he's fit and he's healthy, hitting 40 wins is probably his floor. And I'm not really a big believer in the actual depth pieces like Keldon Johnson, Vassell, Sohan. I'm not really a big fan of them, and I definitely think one or multiple of these players could be involved in a package to really consolidate and push this team on. But I don't know if this season will be the season where they do that. I think they would probably want to see what they've got in Harper, play it out a whole season, see how the young guys get on, and then make a following trade the following year. So, with their roster alone, I probably just hit them on the under, maybe by a win. I could hit them maybe over one win, but I'm going unders because it's a big ask going for another 6+ wins on last season. But I wouldn't be surprised because obviously they got Wemby. He's an alien. He can do crazy things. And they have some nice pieces. They're going to have Fox for the whole year, or he's going to be here for the rest of the season after he recovers from his injury.
Do you think they get Fox if they knew they could get Harper? Is a good question that I have.
I don't.
No, they don't.
Me either.
I think they stay. If they know they're going to get Harper, they don't even make that trade. They hold on to whatever assets they have, and they make a bigger trade down the line.
Yeah,
for sure.
They're another team. Sure. Hey, I'm gonna throw another name out there. I'm not gonna lie, Giannis, maybe, man. What do you think about Giannis?
Crazy.
Yeah, that would
never
be
know. Never know.
That would be crazy.
Giannis Wemby would pretty much, I think, guarantee a championship.
No shit.
Yeah, that would be a guarantee.
That's crazy.
That would be like
I'd love to see it though.
That would be unbelievable.
A team that could compete
those
with
two guys together.
People talk about competing with OKC, right?
That's crazy.
You need size, man. You need size.
That's crazy.
That's
I like it.
The biggest one.
And look, that team's appealing. If you're a free agent, I wouldn't mind joining San Antonio. They got a young team, great organization in Texas. They got young bucks and they're ready.
Yeah,
facts. I went the over on this one. I've got it between 43 and 46 wins. So just scraping a play-in. So I'm on the money with you there, Kenny. And Nathan, I can see why you probably went under given the big gap between their wins. But when you have someone like Victor Wembanyama, that's a player that's generational, as we like to say. And when you have these generational players, they're going to individually win you games. Like we got him locked up for Defensive Player of the Year. If this guy could be the first ever player to average like 4 or 5 blocks in the season. Like I think he's that good and that crazy. I think he's going to win multiple Defensive Players of the Year awards as well. He was a lock to win it last year. Let's be honest. Evan Mobley, as good as he was defensively, was a consolidation prize for Victor Wembanyama. That guy could have played 50, 40, 30 games. He still would have won the Defensive Player of the Year, in my opinion, because I've never seen a player so good defensively than him. And he's just simply an alien. Let's be honest. He's living up to the hype that we've all heard since he was 16 years of age. And this is going to be his 3rd season, which is just crazy. Like a lock for an all-star. I think a lock for an all-NBA team as well if he hits the game requirement, which I'm sure they really want him to do. French international as well. So you got all the French fans there. World-class organization. Yeah, I'm taking the over big time here. And given that I've given a lot of teams the under, has to give me room to add the San Antonio Spurs in there. And I think this year they probably won't make the playoffs. They'll probably push the playoffs as in through the play-in. But the year after, I think they're poised to have an unbelievable season, especially with these teams like the Clippers, Warriors that are getting older. The Spurs are obviously developing, and that's where they're going to come in. And they're big players for January, I think. I say January by the All-Star break, but I truly believe that they're going to go all out next year, and they do have those players there and pieces to trade off. So many picks as well, given the DeJounte Murray trade as well, getting that. So, yeah, they're in a very good position, I think. But we'll move on.
They're built, man, yeah.
We'll go on to their counterparts, which are the Golden State Warriors. Last season, 48 wins. They're sitting at 48.5. And this one's made me scratch my head so much. Yeah, tell me why.
I think the whole Kuminga situation was really weird. I know they resolved it, but I think the whole Kuminga situation was really weird to start the year. It felt like there was just a lot of drag on.
They should have freed him. Should have traded him.
Freed him.
Yeah. they dragged it on too much, I think. I also think a lot of their players are older now, and I'm not guaranteeing like Steph's going to be 100% healthy throughout the year too. Like I think he always ends up nowadays, like especially he gets nagging injuries like
Off the
in
rip,
ankle.
off the record, sorry, Kenny. The fuck's his missus doing going on about what she's saying? She's been saying some wild shit, man. I feel bad for Steph Curry, man. That ain't right.
Steph's dealing with a tough cookie over there, man. I don't know what to
Yeah.
say about that either. She's coming out saying crazy things. She's been saying things for years. I remember when she came out and was like, "Oh, I'm not getting the same like kind of attention he gets with women. Like I wish men like looked at me the same way too." Like, why do you care about that? Like
Ridiculous.
it's so
Free
weird. But
Steph,
anyway,
bro. Free
yeah,
Steph.
free Steph for real, man. I mean, that's crazy. But you know, not that I don't believe in the team come playoff time. I think the playoffs is where they're gonna gear, and this is why my point is I think they're gonna go under, but I think they'll be again. I think a borderline playoff play-in team. I think again they'll be like in that 7-6 range. I don't see them being top 5 in the West. I love Jimmy Butler. I think playoff time Jimmy shows up. Steph, I love Steph. Obviously Draymond, those guys all good. I just don't think their depth is that elite. I think they're lacking depth. They're very old in their depth too. Like some of their guys, obviously Pods is there. You have Pods. I'm not a big fan of him though. I don't think he's like. I think he's a bit of a knucklehead sometimes with the ball. I think defensively he's good, but offensively sometimes he just isn't
I'm
it.
not sold on Pods whatsoever.
Al Horford
If he was
is
playing, if Pods was playing in another team, he wouldn't even get this hype. Let's be real. Just because at the Warriors, they're just trying to like rim.
I agree with that, but I think Al Horford is also older now. Like I don't look at their team and I don't see rim protection. I don't like their rim protection. I think their rim protection is going to be suspect this year. And even Draymond Green is as great as a defender is. He's only one guy. He can only defend so much. Jimmy Butler's great too, obviously, but you have little to no rim protection down there. And I also think they're going to be very old. So it's like these younger teams are going to be coming in and running them out the gym sometimes maybe. I think they'll have like I think they'll be at like the 42, 43 win mark. I think. And I think that's them being like that's just me thinking if they're like not fully healthy, they could obviously be 48 wins. I think they'll maybe if that max, I think they'll hit that 48 line. I don't think they'll hit more than that though. They're not
Where
a 50.
I'm exactly thinking. I think
They're not a
hit
51 team. I just think they're
Yeah,
also going to have like injuries throughout the year. They're not going to be as healthy. So I think they'll be like 43, 44 wins, similar to San Antonio in that play-in spot. But and that's where I think you said like, oh, like maybe they'll be in the plan to have maybe they'll go against an experienced roster and lose. Like that's a team I think they could lose to because it's just experience wise. Like you have Steph Curry, he's a four-time world champion. You know what I mean? He knows how to compete in those kind of environments. But I think that like 48 in an ideal world they'll get that 48 wins, but I don't think they'll get more than that.
Yeah, I've got him on 48 too, so I'm going the under on this one. I think when you have the 4 teams that we've mentioned, the big 4, I'm like to call them. I wouldn't say big 4. I think that's perfectious, but OKC, Rockets, Thunder, and the
Denver.
Timberwolves.
Yeah, and Denver too. Yeah,
and Denver. Yeah, those 4. Sorry. And then that leaves room for 2 spots to make a lock in for playoffs. I've got the Clippers in there, despite me going under. Borderline with the Warriors, and then you've got to, as much as we hate to say, I can't stand it, we got to leave room for those Los Angeles Lakers. So that's why I'm taking the under, and them getting 48 wins. I think will put them in a 7th seed, scrapping for a 6th seed, possibly with the Clippers, in my opinion. But yeah, taking the under on that one.
Yeah, you guys make good points regarding the Golden State Warriors, but I think, like you said, Steph's done it there. He's four-time world champion. He's in my draft team, so I'm going to be rooting for the Golden State Warriors all year long. And, having Jimmy Butler in from second half of the season, you could really see they were picking up their team defense. But yeah, it just really comes down to if they're going to stay fit. And I know you're not too strong on the depth pieces, but I really like Melton. I know he was out all season with an injury,
He's
but
another injury problem guy though. That's why I can't trust it. When he plays, he's so good though.
The same with him, same with Payton. If they can just pick it up and actually play, they're great shot stoppers. They're great ball stoppers. They can shoot, not so much Payton, but Melton can. Buddy Hield's a bit of a streaky one, and they got really high hopes for Santos and Post. So, look, I think getting Horford in is huge, albeit 5 years ago would have been a massive, massive coup. But he still comes in as, one of those players that at 39 years old, he's still doing bits, and he might actually be a Hall of Famer at this point, which is kind of crazy to think. But yeah,
Yeah.
he still locks teams up, defenses up, and I'm not too sold on the rim protection as well. I think they're probably lacking there. But in saying that, they were winning with Looney there, and he didn't protect the rim too well either. So look,
Yeah,
I'm
that's a good
just
point.
hitting him. I'm probably just hitting him on the 50. So I'm probably just going over, but not with any guarantee.
I think it's a good line, 48.5. You can go under and over. I don't think they go over 50 wins. They could smack 50. I don't think they go under 46 or 47 either.
Yeah, I
I
think
think,
they're in that good range right there. I would say.
yeah,
They're
the
in that
only
like
thing
that
that just questions me
range.
is obviously just their availability and how hard they really want to go during the regular season. They're not a team to me that feels as though they take the regular season as serious as others, given that they've been there, done that. And
Yeah.
you've seen them so many times, like being the seventh seed, sixth seed before obviously their championship and dynasty range, knocking off the third seed, the fourth seed, the second seed, based on their experience. They did that with the Rockets. They did it against our mates, the Sacramento Kings, a few times back. So it just feels as though that they won't go all out this season. And that's why I can't get them over the line for the over. But I can definitely see them getting that sort of 48. And I think they'll be good enough for them to just make the playoffs.
I
But we'll
will.
move on. We'll go into.
Just before we go past that,
Yeah.
I'll probably just caveat that, they're just going to need to have a leap by Moody or Kaminga. They're going to need wing scoring. They're going to need one of them to pop. And like you said, it was a bit weird with that Kaminga situation. But, if all of it's behind, he can score the basket. It could be an interesting player if he puts it all together. So, yeah, we'll see how they go. But yeah, carry on.
Well, yeah, we're going on with the Memphis Grizzlies next. Last season, 48 wins, and they're putting them at 39.5 for this time. I think a lot of reasons are because of that is because a lot of teams have made major upgrades to their rosters. We obviously seen the Spurs take a big leap. We obviously seen the Clippers also improving, the Lakers. There's a lot of teams that are better than the Grizzlies at the moment, and it feels as though they're in that sort of position where Portland is, I think, competing for a play-in spot, in my opinion. 39.5 wins is a very interesting one for me. I'm going to leave it for you guys to discuss it. I do like the pieces that they've got, especially Jalen Wells. I think he's going to be a very good player coming out of his second year. They don't have Zach Edey for a very long time, which I think is going to be a big loss for them. And look, when Ja Morant's fit, it's another thing when it comes to availability. Ja Morant can take your team to the playoffs single-handedly, but just the availability is what questions me. And the same thing with Jaren Jackson Jr. Jaren Jackson Jr. is an elite player. He had a really good season last year, but we just didn't get enough. And losing Desmond Bane for me drops your wins significantly, I think, especially given that he is at the Orlando Magic now. They did get a decent haul, but I'm not really sold on their depth as well. And Ty Jerome, as it stands, we just found out this today. Maybe yesterday, if we did this pod, would have been a different story. He's out for 4 weeks too. So, yeah, as I talk about it, I'm leaning under, but I'm keen to hear your thoughts.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'll probably start with this one. Yeah, looking at their depth chart, I find that they are quite a deep team. They got players in all the positions. I really like GG Jackson. Hopefully, he can take massive strides because he can be a fun player. And Vince
Still
Williams,
young, very, very young when he popped off. So I think he's got time to grow for sure.
yeah, and they're taking a flyer on Caldwell Pope, KCP. I mean, I reckon he suits the culture, that type of player. 3 and D. If he can have a resurgence, I reckon he'll definitely add to the culture and the core of this team. But like you said, it's hard to know because Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson, as good as they are, they're just never fit for an extended period of time. And like you said, Scottie Pippen's been injured, Ty Jerome's been injured, Zach Edey's injured, and Brandon Clark has poor availability as well. So, I initially had them overs before having a look at this, but I think I might just get him on the unders on this one.
I'm gonna take the unders here too. I think their team is just gonna be kind of battling injuries all year again. And I think their management, I think, is gonna get ahead of it and probably see like, okay, you know what? Maybe we're not as competitive as we thought we were. They got a lot of draft picks for a reason. Maybe it's to make a bigger move down the line, maybe to prepare for something bigger. But I think right now with all these injuries stacking up, and it's not like a guarantee John Morant stays healthy either. He's suffered a sprained ankle too. He's coming back, but he already had something that happened in the preseason. And the way he plays, we all know those super athletic point guards that go in and try to get these flashy dunks and all these attack the rim a lot. He's not like for example, like a guy like Curry and Brunson or someone, a perimeter guy that more so does. Yeah, more crafty,
more controlled.
Kyrie, obviously Kyrie's, but guys like him, Westbrook, they're more prone to and we talk about Derrick Rose, look at guys like him, they get injured fast because they're just so aggressive and their veracity they attack the paint with sometimes is just so much for their body to handle. So I don't know. I don't think John Morant's gonna be healthy for a full season. I don't think their depth is good enough to withstand him missing a lot of games. And I don't see him playing more than 65, 70 games either.
It's a shame because I think John Morant is going to be and it's crazy to say this if you
big
really think about it, the last one big what if, of course, but two, the last athletic guard that we're going to see go a million miles per hour. We're losing that in this league. We're not having the John Walls, the Russell Westbrooks.
We're starting to see guys start to become more crafty now. We're starting to see the crafty guard, the guy. You need a guy that could come in. He could attack the rim, but attack it with kind of a smoothness, not really much of an aggression, if that makes sense,
The only one is Anthony Edwards, but I wouldn't call him a point guard. I'm talking specifically point guards, under 6'4".
But
John Morant
think about
the last one.
The body difference. Body difference is the biggest thing. Is Anthony Edwards has a different body type.
He's a linebacker.
Yeah, exactly. So it's his body could withstand. Look at LeBron. LeBron is still at 6'8". He's injured now, but for majority of his career, he was dunking on people for 15 years, 16 years. Even last year, he was dunking on people.
I think the off-field stuff.
Because his body could withstand it.
Big thing as well. The off-field stuff killed him. There was a time where this guy was going to be borderline face of the league as well. That's how good he was. And
I remember a couple years ago, 2022, he was coming into the season. Everybody was proclaiming he's taking the lead to be a top 5 player, MVP candidate for Memphis. It just blew up. And it blew up because he got injured. And then from that injury, then he started having the off-court stuff. And it just all compounded. And now I just think it's been too much for them. And I truthfully think that this is going to be the craziest take you guys might think. But I think in a year from now, 2 years from now, we start hearing talks about Memphis maybe looking to move on from John Morant.
What? It's not as crazy as you thought, man. I actually don't think it's a crazy take.
Not because I think he's a bad player, but I think people are going to realize he can't be a number one on a team to lead a team as a number one. He's just too unreliable. Yeah, I think he's too unreliable, and I think they need a culture reset. And I think they're going to look. I don't think they're going to be as good as people think the next couple of years. And I think they're going to end up using those picks as just they're going to either draft people with them and just hope that they kind of draft somebody that helps out, or they're not going to be good. Ja's going to be kind of coming out, and then his problem's going to become more of a focal point, kind of a front-facing thing. And I think
agree with you, but I'm actually rooting for John Morant, believe it or not.
Oh, no, I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for him the same way I'm rooting for LaMelo Ball. I think they're in the similar side. Look, they're the Charlotte Hornets they're obviously better than Charlotte, but they're the Charlotte Hornets
in terms of their storylines with the guards. I know what you're saying. Yeah,
the way their 100%. Teams are kind of centered around, and the way they're perceived is they're not a serious team. They're looked at as the reason why Memphis can't win is because when they're on the court, they like to play games. They're they're always joking. They're not a serious roster. And it starts with the head of the snake, John Morant. You look at some of these contenders. Right? All their star players, we talk about SGA. Yeah, he's a goofy guy, but on the court, he's all all serious. He's taking the game very serious.
Jacob Fatou says, "All gas, no brakes." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, on a serious note, though, just going to segment here. Dylan Brooks is the one to fix it, man.
When they scapegoated that guy, they fucking scapegoated Dylan Brooks in this organization. What a joke! That's fucking good karma. Just on that,
it's been downhill since then.
Ridiculous scapegoating. Honestly, what a joke of an organization.
He was copping it for Ja too. He just copped it on the chin, and then they threw him under the bus like that.
Ja was getting hate, came back from his suspension, and Dylan Brooks came on the front line, taking on LeBron James, whatever you say, knew that he was going to get hate, and you think your organization would back him. They sent him out the first one. And then you had Desmond Bain the season after trash talking him in the preseason game. Ridiculous shit, man. Fuck
Nah,
that. For
I
that
just think
alone,
that
yeah. Thanks for bringing
I
that
just
up
think
because
that
that was a core memory of mine.
yeah.
Love
I
Dylan
just think
Brooks, man.
I just think they're in a weird spot right now, and I think again I think they're gonna go under this year just for the simple fact I don't think they'll be healthy enough, and I don't even think their team's good enough to compete with some of these other teams. I look at the roster standpoint. If Ja's healthy, yeah, like you said, like he could easily propel them to a playoff team. Like obviously he's that good, but I just can't rely on him. You know what I mean? I can't rely on him the same way I can't rely on LaMelo Ball. Like to do the same for Charlotte. I can't. Like they're talented enough to lead their teams to somewhere insane heights at their peaks, but I can't rely on them right now. So I can't rely on John Morant. Jaren is also in and out of our lineup a lot too, and he's a great player, but he's in and out of the lineup. We already have Zach Edey out. I like some of their pieces. Like I like Cedric Howard, the guy they drafted. Cedric is really good.
He's nice.
I do like Santi Aldama. You know, guys like him.
Jalen Wells
So
too.
yeah, Jalen Wells.
Jalen Wells,
Yeah.
that's where I can agree with you, Kenny, with the trade, because I think if Jalen Wells continues to ball out, there might be a case where they can just ship him out and then potentially build around players like Jalen Wells, players like Cedric Howard, Gigi Jackson, if he could become the player he is, and even Scottie Pippen Jr. off the bench. Maybe that could be a potential for that sort of
even Scottie Pippen Jr. now injury. He's out for like 4 months or something.
But like, let's say in 1 or 2 years when he comes back, could be the guard with Jalen Wells. Maybe they won't win a lot of games, but that's how the rebuild starts. You just build that and you get Ja Morant out of there and start fresh.
That's what I'm saying. It's going down that path slowly. I just see it. I see kind of the way that's unfolding. I have a feeling Memphis is going to just have enough of that. But again,
the city love him though. I will say that Memphis really loves Ja Morant.
They need it. He was someone they haven't had a guy like him ever, like on their team. Like you talk about Marcus Saul was like their biggest star for a while, and he was great.
He was
like just thinking on Mike Conley a little bit. I think Mike Conley.
No. But I think Ja Morant just brings a different sizzle, though. If you're talking about like just like a level of
excitement,
excitement. Mike Conley's a much more methodical, smart, good player. Like a guy like that is obviously, he's not invaluable. But Ja Morant brought electricity to that gym, man. He was unbelievable when he first started playing there. But yeah, that's kind of my take on them overall. I just think that they're trending in a weird direction.
Yeah, they can't even look forward to Cam Ward either with his rookie year. So they're in the dumps, I think, Memphis or Tennessee as a whole, I would say, because I would say Nashville would be representing Memphis too, given they're the only team in the state. Anyways, we'll move on to the next team, and it is I guess the biggest team that everyone loves to talk about, the Los Angeles Lakers. 46.5, I'm saying over.
I'm saying over too. I think they're like that 6th team in the West, personally.
I like Luka Doncic. LeBron James will come back. But that's all I want to talk about the Lakers.
I think Luka's gonna have a crazy season. I just think he's have a crazy year. I think he'll be it's crazy how they got gifted Luka though. That's the biggest thing. I just don't get how they got and then the Mavericks got gifted Cooper Flag.
That's why they're gonna get 50 plus wins. Like I think 46.5 is crazy. Like they had 50 wins last year, and
I think they'll be really good. I just think that the problem is still standing with them. They don't have a lot of reliable shooting on the team that I think they could look to. I think that's their biggest problem. Is like you look at their depth. They have defense. Like I think they could defend pretty well, and they have some. They got they fixed their big. They got Ayton. Well, I'm not big on Ayton, but and then again, I know
don't think
you
it's as big as good as what people think. I think
Nathan,
people
I know you have more
comments
on that. I know Nathan has more comments on Ayton than anybody watching him in Portland for a little bit, but I just think that, I'm not a big fan of Ayton, but I think he'll be better than what they had. But Luka is the biggest component here. Him being, I think, a potential MVP this year is going to be what propels them. And I think they're going to be like that 5th, 6th seed in the West at the bare minimum. I think they're like, we talk about the Warriors, the Spurs, the Mavericks, all these teams. Like they're going to compete for that 7th, 8th, 9th. But I think the Lakers are slotted in with the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, the Nuggets.
Top 6.
They're in that top 6 in my opinion. I think they're in the top 6. So they're going to be competing in that contending kind of realm with those guys. But yeah, I think that's a good line for them. I like that line. I think they'll get that, and I believe in Luka more than probably anybody else. So that's just my take on it.
The line was at 45, was it? 45 now?
It was 46.5.
I'm just hitting the unders on this one, just by one win. I'm just hitting him
Wow.
by one. And
50 wins last year, Nate.
I know,
50 wins.
I know it
Same
sounds
team.
crazy.
Same, but no Finney Smith, I know. But come on. Is that
And
going
they
to...
added Marcus Smart.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying Marcus Smart's like a big change, but I think he's better than what they had.
Yeah, explain that. Explain, because I'm losing you.
yeah.
And I don't like the Lakers.
It's a hard one, but I just think a lot of teams in the West has just gotten better. And I know Luka being in the team for being from the start of the season in the team is going to make a difference. But I think that's going to be, coincided with LeBron James being out for the first few weeks and throughout the season. I don't think he's going to play as much as he did last year. I know they're really lacking shooting. Obviously, they have players that can shoot. However, they need the rock in their hand. They don't have any standstill shooters. They're not a big believer of Dalton Connect. Obviously, tried to get rid of him for the Mark Williams trade, which I thought would have been a great trade if that went through. Jake LaRavia, I'm not really a big believer in him. I think losing Dorian Finney-Smith.
You're losing me. I love Jake LaRavia. He's very good. He's a nice player. I know he's not the needle breaker, but he's a very nice player.
Yeah, but I just don't think he's at the same level as Finney-Smith. And, Aiton, he can't defend, right? He can score. I seen in preseason that he wasn't scoring. He wasn't doing anything. So, I'm not really convinced by, Hayes or Kleber behind him. So, look, it could be wrong. And I know a lot of people are going to say, Lakers, they're going on the overs. No doubt we got Luka. But, yeah, I just don't believe in what the depth they have. Gabe Vincent seems dead to me. And to be honest,
in preseason?
Yeah, that don't matter. They're trying to trade him too.
He cooked Cooper Flag, man. That was his welcome. His welcome to the league moment will always be that game. I'm telling you now, because he cooked it.
Yeah, and DeMarcus Smart, he's a good player, man, but he can't play 2 games in a row. So
yeah,
I don't know.
That's a fair point. I just think Luka is the biggest proponent of all this. Like, if you believe in Luka, like, you probably give them above like that line, just because, again, like, Luka by himself sometimes is gonna win games. Like tonight's game against the Warriors is gonna be a cinema game because I have a feeling Luka's gonna go crazy tonight. Like, that's just my opinion.
I can't believe you're making me like support and back up the Lakers here with that take. I can't stand them, but I can't even sit there and give them. They have to be over 46.5.
Look, you'd think, and I reckon it'll be close too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not thinking they're going to go 40 flat. I reckon it'll be by a win or 2, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if they go over, but
they'll get him in the play-in though. These like late play-in with that record.
Do you back them over the Wolves? Okay, do you back them over
No,
Dallas?
they'll be. I think they're going to be that.
Dallas,
I think they'll be competing with the Clippers. They'll be competing with the Clippers.
That's what I think too. Over Dallas, definitely. Anyone else?
Obviously, we're looking at Rockets. You're looking at OKC. Looking at Denver. There's heaps of players. There's heaps of teams.
I think there's 3 teams that are definitely better. There's 3 teams definitely better. The Rockets,
there's 4 teams definitely
Thunder,
better.
and the Nuggets. I think Minnesota. I kind of have them in Minnesota similarly. To be fair, I'm a little lower on Minnesota, so that's just me. I think
it's them 4 that are best of the rest. Maybe even 3 would be better than Timberwolves. I can make an argument for that. But remember my Denver take. I'll save it. The Lakers, they're probably on par with the Clippers. I say they're slightly better because of Luka. The Spurs, they're not better than the Lakers. Are better than the Spurs right now. The Warriors, better than the Warriors in my opinion. So
I think next year, if let's just say, I'll say this: if this let's just say LeBron retires, whatever, this is the roster going into next year. They don't make any crazy changes. They don't make any moves. They're not going to make the playoffs next year with this roster. I'll say that.
The Lakers will be big players again
for
in
real.
January.
But if you
and get a free agent,
but I think just with the circumstances of the league right now, with the way it is, like I just think the Spurs are still kind of young. Mavericks aren't healthy. You know, the Portland is still young too. Like Portland, I think like some of these teams are like a year away, in my opinion. Some of these other teams are a year away.
They're coming, not
and
this
then
season.
Yeah, the rest of the West is kind of like they're competing for like spots, but they're not like on that par. Like we're talking about, like the Kings, Suns, Pelicans, Grizzlies. We just talked about, like they're like in like that tier of like mediocrity, and then you have like obviously the Jazz are down there. You know what I mean? But when you're talking about the competing, contending, like the Warriors, like I think they'll be on par with the Warriors too. The Warriors will be in that same tier. It's just that again, like they're like that team. Like this is the year. Like if the Warriors don't do anything this year, it looks really bleak for them going forward. And that's when it's like, okay, they're going to fall off after this, I think. Lakers, if they don't make any big changes after this year, I think they'll be good this year. But next year, if they don't make any changes and they're trying to just recoup like minimum contracts and hope good veterans sign with them, like I don't think it's going to work in a year from now. But this year, for the circumstances of this season, I think it'll work out for them.
So now, do you have them what? Lakers 7th or 8th seed based on that?
Like around 7th or 8th seed. I gotta check the numbers, but look, I'm just looking at their roster and I'm like, there's not many players that can defend, not with regularity. Obviously, Smart's a bit older now, but who else there can stop anyone? No one in the starting 5 can stop anyone. They obviously got Luka. He's a great player. He's had his injury concerns as well. And what's to say that LeBron James going into season 20 odd, whatever it is, isn't going to be 23. He's not going to be a 10% less better player than what he was last year. And I think that alone loses you 2 to 3 wins.
Yeah,
So,
that makes that's a fair take. I can't refute that. I mean, like, I think the fairness of like your point of like the defense and like their depth and like them not having like real like high end talent around Luka, I get it. I just think offensively, I think my whole point is I think they're going to be such a good offense that I think their defense, even if they're like a middle of the pack defense, they'll be good enough to be a 50-win team. I think their offense is where it's going to be like, wow, like their offense is going to be really good. I think Luka's going to like kind of lead their team to like a lot of like high end scoring. I think Austin Reeves is an underrated offensive player. I think Ayton obviously helps on that end too. And then you put LeBron James in there. You know, LeBron nowadays, his defense isn't really there as much anymore. Like he's not really playing the best defense anymore. But offensively, you know the impact he has when he comes back. He's going to be helping out Luka tremendously. So again, I think it just comes down to it. So we'll see what ends up happening. But I do think the Lakers are a 6 seed team, maybe at the low end a 7 seed team, but I think they're in that range.
For sure. And yeah, on that as well, probably one last point is, as you said, Luka Doncic's offense onto himself. He could have, a bunch of sticks out there, and he's going to have a good offensive team rating. So I think the makeup of the team is probably not what it needs to be around Luka. And obviously, once LeBron goes and they got salary, they can really start to build out this team, which will be his. But I just think there's a lot of uncertainty with the team. It's just a bit clunky for my liking. So yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Fair play. Mm-hmm. All right, we'll move on. Next up is the New Orleans Pelicans. Last season, shat the bed with 21 wins. A lot of injuries here. They're at 31.5, which is 10 more wins than they got last season, albeit they've got skinny Zion. I don't know how many people are believing this. It's very hard for me to have faith in it. Every year you think that Zion is going to have a full season and he finds a way to let you down. But to be fair, it is the most skinniest Zion has ever been. And he's looking in complete ripped shape. He came to Melbourne. I did see him jumping out the gym in practice, which was quite amazing. They did make the trip here. But honestly, and Nathan can attest to this, I was looking at a few of their players and I'm thinking, there's not many good players on this roster. Let's be real. They get Jordan Poole, who everyone thinks that Jordan Poole is nice, but they're forgetting that his time at the Wizards, let's be honest, wasn't the best and it didn't equate to winning. His second season, he matured a lot more. I think he learned a lot of things and learned how to be a leader, but I don't think he's a winning player. I think at best, Jordan Poole is a very reliable 6-man for a contending team, not someone that you want to build your team around, especially as a starting guard. I'm a big fan in the picks that they've got in Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen. There were 2 players that actually wanted the Wizards to get. Still happy with what we got, but those 2 guys are going to be one for the future. They don't have their first round pick for next season, which is something big. So I think they want to try push for wins because of that. But again, I think there's a lot of players that get injured here. Like I hear about Herb Jones so many times, but that guy can't play more than 40 games. Like seriously, that's a big concern there. He's someone that he's a gun, but he just doesn't play. So I can't really sit there and say that he's going to play a full season again. And it's to say a lot about that team. DeJounte is obviously out for the season. I really, really like Trey Murphy III. I think he's going to be producing a lot for them this season. I think if he can take this team to a play-in, he could be a borderline potential all-star. Not saying he will be an all-star, but someone that could potentially push for it. and be a big case for most improved player as well, especially last year since he was carrying the load on offense. But he's also someone that doesn't stay fit there. I like Jose Alvarado. I like Sadiq Bey. He didn't get the chance to play for the Wizards. I was really keen on seeing him in a Wizards jersey, but I think he'll get some good game time here. And yeah, their team is, they've got good players. You'd love to have one or two in a competitive team on your roster, but not all of them together. So I think I'm going to take the under on this one. I don't think they're going to be extremely, extremely bad, but I just don't think that they have enough players to really push for anything more than 31.5 wins, especially given their injury concerns.
All right. I'm going to actually take the over on this by a couple wins. I think they're in that Suns tier, that Suns Grizzlies tier, in my opinion. They're like just out of the play-in spot. I kind of have them as like the 12th seed. I just think, I think they'll have a little bit of a healthier Zion this year. I think Trey Murphy is going to have a big leap. I think he'll be a really good player this year, and I think he'll be very coveted by a lot of contending rosters next year. Like if the Pelicans don't figure it out, especially with the trades they made. I mean, they traded for Derek Queen, with giving up their own first-round pick this year. Everyone knows
the craziest trade.
Everybody knows they're not going to make the playoffs. And Joe Dumars knows better. I'm so shocked by him. Like I expected better from a guy that's been in the league for like, especially in the league office.
They
like,
must really like Derek Queen though. They must be very high.
Yeah, but like the thing is like that's the thing. If Derek Queen becomes an all-star, that's a good trade. But like if he doesn't become something close to that, or he doesn't even resemble a good like in the I remember watching preseason and like
he is quite undersized for a center. He can't shoot. Yeah,
he looked clunky. He looked clunky, man. I wasn't a big fan of it. I wasn't even a big fan of him coming out of college. I thought he was a little bit of like a weird player to kind of trade up for. I think if it was like a high, like I'll be honest, I would have been happier with them if they took Yang Hansen. The upside at least is there with Yang. Like you see the upside with Yang. Like, Derek Queen, I don't really see the upside with him.
That would have been, but that would have been way more. Could you imagine though? I know what you're saying, Kenny, but could you imagine they gave up the first round unprotected pick and then they picked up Yang Hansen from the stand? You just imagine the whole world would explode.
Hindsight is 2020. Obviously, it's like it's different. You know what I mean? Like it's tough to like look back. But, like, just look at it now. Just look at it now. If you looked at it today, like watching how the preseason played out, how Yang played, everyone would have been like, "Yo, like this guy." Like obviously, everyone looks at Yang right now is like this guy looks really good for Portland. You know what I mean? And I think if you looked at it for like if New Orleans did that and you saw how he played in preseason, like okay, maybe it looks worth it. Like maybe he pans out to be something, But again, I think they'll be like a borderline team. I think Jordan Poole is better than what people give him credit for. I'm not saying he's going to be like this all-world player. I just think he'll be a better player this year. And maybe in that system, he could be better. DeJounte being out hurts them, but I don't even think DeJounte's like a similar kind of like position. Like he's kind of his impact on winning hasn't really been showing since he left San Antonio. If you look at Atlanta, they got better without him. You look at New Orleans, they've gotten worse with him, and even with the injury, Zion, obviously, injuries are always going to be the biggest question with this team. I agree with what you said, Dan. I think that this team is a bunch of pieces waiting to be snatched up to like contenders, like teams like want. There's going to be teams that probably take the swing on Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, even a guy like Jose Alvarado off the bench. Like he's been a bench point guard for them for like the years now, and he's always been this pesky good backup guard. And now he's like, yeah. But now they got Jeremiah Fears, who I think actually looks really good. I like Fears a lot. I'm curious to see how he plays for them. But again, I think they're going to just slowly trend off of like some of these guys. I even think Zion is a potential move out of position. Like I think they might move off of him at some point because I think his injury concerns are just going to be too much for them to hold on to, especially at his price tag. So I think it's just going to slowly happen where I think guys like Zion, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones are going to be shipped out. I think they're going to look, and even Jordan Poole might be on the way out too at some point, right? Like I think they'll be probably looking to move him off, and he might end up on a team, maybe back on the Warriors again, where he fit perfectly in that system and it looked great for him, I just think, you move off those guys, you kind of go with the Jeremiah Fears, the Derek Queen, you traded for him, you might as well invest in him, and see how the rebuild goes. A real rebuild goes with like actual like talent again, like hopefully healthy young talent this time around, but. Yeah, they're a head-scratching front office. I think they'll be like a 12 seed. That's my take. 33 wins, and that's it.
You spoke, as if they were going under, but still got to win the over. Fair enough.
They've been saying that there's crazy things in New Orleans. They've got to relocate. Too much voodoo, they reckon.
Bro, get the Saints out of there too, bro. The fucking Saints suck. Oh, God.
Yeah,
That place, man, I love that city, but man, they can't get anything right.
no, their franchise does seem a bit cursed, and you know they got their generation talent Zion, but he just can't stay fit. And I know we've seen him a couple months ago, and he's looking nice and slim, but I'm just not buying it. And looking at their roster, like you said, there's just a bunch of pieces ready to get snapped up. I'm looking at the center position. I'm not convinced by anything there. And yeah, I really like Jeremiah Fears, Zero Fears. I like that. I think Alvarado, he's a cool guy. He definitely deserves to be in some sort of playoff type basketball team. But yeah, I'm just not really sold on the pieces they have. I'm just hoping that maybe Portland can get Trey Murphy or something, trade for something because he would be the
Trey
perfect
Murphy
guy.
on any of these teams, man. You put Trey Murphy on some of these contending rosters. Like I'm sure at Denver, like if you put like Cam Johnson's the guy they got, but I'm sure Denver would have loved to have gotten a guy like Trey Murphy instead.
We just spoke about him. The Lakers would
Good
love
God,
Trey
man.
Murphy. The Lakers would, and Trey Murphy would be perfect for them.
Yeah.
And even Herb Jones for the Lakers
contending
as
team.
well.
Even if you told me a team out east, like the Cavs, the Cavs, if you could replace DeAndre Hunter with Trey Murphy, you put Trey Murphy on that Cavs team with Donovan Mitchell and
They're not taking DeAndre Hunter though. That's not happening.
They're not.
That's
But I'm
enough to
saying,
trade.
like, if you were to look, I'm just saying in general, just just saying in terms of his play style and the way he plays, you put him on one of those teams, he's a perfect fit. Like he's literally even on OKC. What if OKC just decides, we're going to trade for him, and then you build a God squad? You have Trey Murphy there now with Jalen Williams, SGA, Chet. Like that's
and they have picks too. Like
you're disrespecting Lou Dort. I can't let you do that, Kenny. I can't let you disrespect Lou Dort like that.
Lou Dort is fine. Lou Dort's a fine player. I'm not even talking about trading him. Aaron Wiggins is a guy they can move off of. You got some other pieces at some small contract. And they got 10 first-round picks to trade. They got 10 first-round picks they could trade, bro. That's insane. That's nuts.
We ain't there yet with the OKC, Kenny.
Yeah, we're getting there. I've strategically saved the best two teams. I'm talking regular and postseason for the end.
Yeah, it was funny when you were saying that. I was just thinking that, when you said Lakers and Trey Murphy, I was thinking they'll offer Gabe Vincent, Delta Connect in the second round or something. Like every mock trade.
That's delusion right there. The Lakers fan delusion right there, bro. I think they're some of the most delusional fans in the world. But somehow the delusion came true with the Luka trade. A fan mock trade actually came true with that. Think about that. Anthony Davis and a pick for Luka Doncic to work.
I actually thought that thing was fake, man. I can't lie. I thought it was fake.
Everyone did. That was insane. You had pro players texting Shams if he got hacked. That's how crazy it was.
I know Lakers fans that are Lakers fans because they like how Lakers fans are and like to be like Lakers fans, and that's why they're
delusional.
Lakers fans. Get that tongue twist going, but it makes sense what I said. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Wow. We're talking about the Pelicans.
If you haven't figured, I'm smashing the unders. Yeah,
smashing them. I had him at 30.
No, like
take.
I got him like 27, man. I don't know.
Still worse than the Suns? Not still better than the Suns.
No, I reckon the Suns may pin them.
So you had them at 25.
It's close. It's a close one between them. I don't know. It could go either way. If Zion's fit, I reckon they get maybe 27. But I don't back them being fit, so it's hard to, I don't know. They're definitely in the same echelon.
The funny thing with the West is the 15th seed is the Utah Jazz. They're probably going to have like the under 20 win team right there. And then everything else after that, I think, is above 25 wins. That's how good the West is, though. I feel like
I agree.
Even the 14th seed in the West, like we talk about Sacramento and we joke around about the Sacramento Kings, but like they might still realistically hit like 27, 28 wins. And they'll be like, they could be a 14th seed at that point with 28 wins, All
right, what are your bottom fives? So mine, I'm going to start. I'm going to go Utah. After them, I'm going Pelicans.
Is this in order or?
This is in order. Then the Sacramento Kings, then the Phoenix Suns, and then I would have to go as the fifth, but with a better record, your boys Portland Trailblazers as my bottom five, or Memphis Grizzlies. Actually, it's one of them. I can't sit on that.
I'm going Jazz, Kings, Suns, Pelicans. I think the Pelicans will be better than Suns and Kings this year for some reason. I just have a feeling they'll be better than them. And then I have the Grizzlies as my fifth, the 11th seed. I think Portland is better than all five of those teams, hands down, in my opinion. I think they've proven that.
Yeah, I can be either Memphis or Portland. I'll probably give Portland the edge over Memphis. So I have bottom five similar. I don't like the Kings, but I don't think they're as worse as the Pelicans. But I think they're better than the Suns. The Suns are better than them.
They're
if
all
that
in that
makes
same
sense. That's
tier,
where
though.
I'm
That's the
sitting.
thing. They're
Yeah.
all in that same tier. Like they're mediocre to bad. That's all it is.
What's yours, Nate?
I'm probably going Utah for sure. They're definitely, that's the
Okay,
biggest
come
lock.
on.
Biggest
kidding.
lock. Pelicans
No.
and Suns can go either way. I think Pelicans, if they're all fit, probably better, but I'm just going to go for the sake of it, Pelicans, then Suns. And then I'm going Kings, Memphis.
Nice. So our bottom five's all the same. It's just
Quick
where we sort of
segue,
vote them.
really quick on the Pelicans. Think about how crazy this is. We talked about Atlanta yesterday, right? We talked about the Hawks. If the Pelicans are the 14th seed, you know who their pick goes to, right? Atlanta.
Yeah, it goes to
So you're talking
Atlanta.
about-
That's what we're speaking
We're
about.
talking
Yeah.
about Trae Young and that team that just improved so much this past year, possibly getting a top 3 pick unprotected next year, potentially.
And they got
if the
the
Pelicans
first
are
they got the
that
first
bad.
pick the year before. The way the draft
That's
is going, they'll probably
crazy.
get a top 3 pick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it'd be
they're still
wild.
even if they get a top 5 pick, that's such a big addition that the top 5 next year is going to be the best
L
top
from the
5 we've had
Pelicans
in
with that
years,
trade.
man.
That's a big
In
L.
years.
I love Derek
And
Queen. That's a big L. They should never
no,
have
it's
done
a
that.
big.
He's going to be a bust, dude.
No,
Yeah,
you're not sold
compared
him,
to what
are you,
they-
Nath?
He's
You're
gonna
not
be a
sold him
bust
at all.
compared to what they get. It's going to be a
Man,
bust compared to what the Hawks get. The Hawks are going
1
to get a
month ago-
superstar generation talent, possibly.
Dude, 1 month ago, I seen him smoke 5 layups at the ring. Come on, man. You can't be doing that. You're literally 6'9". Just put that ball in.
Yeah,
Come
No,
on.
well,
Anyways,
we'll move on to the final twos. We'll get on to it. Where do you want to go first? OKC or Denver?
Denver.
I think we go
Denver.
Denver first.
All right.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to start with Denver. 50 wins last year. 53.5 is their line. This is probably the best team that Jokic has played with. They pick up Cam Johnson, which looks to be a sleeper pick there. Obviously losing Michael Porter Jr. So they do lose some key, I think, shooting. I know that Cam Johnson's a shooter himself, but I think Michael Porter's shooting is quite different when it comes to Cam Johnson's. They pick up Bruce Brown, who I really love Bruce Brown. I'm a massive fan of Bruce Brown. I think he took his money but came back to where he belongs, and that is the Denver Nuggets being a key rotation player. They re-signed Christian Brown as well on a pretty nice deal, I think. And I think he's going to take strides to be a better player as well. Aaron
Healthy
Gordon
deal.
is serviceable. And Jamal Murray, which I'm hoping this year, because I feel like he wants to stay healthy because he's very much deserving of an all-star. And I think the only reason why he hasn't been an all-star is because he hasn't played enough games, that he has been injured all the time. I think this is the year that Jamal Murray finally becomes the all-star. In saying all that, in saying that they're 53.5, I am still taking the under. And the only reason why I'm taking the under is because I think they don't care about the regular season at all. That's the only reason. I think that they want to set up as best as they can for the playoffs. And getting themselves around 52 to 50 wins is going to get them a top 4 seed still, I think, in this conference, because of how competitive the West is. And if the Lakers involved with the Clippers sitting around that late 40s to early 50s mark as well. And, I could obviously be wrong too. One team might get in the 50s. That's why I think Denver Nuggets might just prime for potentially just figuring out some things, running some different lineups, maybe even not playing Jokic as much as they have in the past, as crazy as it sounds, and set up for a deep, deep playoff run where they may tactically try to just avoid OKC as well. Or even if not, they might want to get him in the second round and see if they can pit them before going to the Western Conference Finals. And that is literally the only reason. I ain't saying the Denver Nuggets aren't good. I think OKC are shit scared of them. I think that's their bogey team. And I think that when you have someone like Nikola Jokic, who is, in my opinion, going to be, when his career's over, a top 15 greatest of all time player, yeah, it's hard to sit by that, but still taking the under because it is regular season.
Yeah, maybe I'll segue into this one, but Jokic is the best player in the league, in my opinion, and it has been for a while. And, that alone, I'm smashing the overs on this one. I love what they've done with their roster. Getting JV in to get some relief for when Jokic is off the floor is huge. And I know JV hasn't been the same as, what he used to be a couple of years back, but he can still score, he's still good in the post. And that Cam Johnson trade, albeit they didn't trade much for him, is huge. He's a playmaking forward. He can get his own shot
Michael
off.
Porter Jr. is a lot to trade. Like, that guy's won a championship. I don't think it's not much.
Yeah, no doubt. But if if your boy's having back problems at 23, 24, you get off him. You know what I mean? Because that's an old man injury.
I agree.
Fair.
And
I think that was a great trade. I think that was personally a great trade for Denver.
It's a good trade, but I wouldn't say they gave up nothing for it, is what I was trying to say.
Of course, what I'm saying is he's obviously a talented player because he's part of the trade, right? But he's not consistent enough. And what Denver lacked, going into playoffs is one injury would decimate their depth. Here, it looks like they've built it out. We've obviously got Brown coming back as one of those pseudo small playmaking players that could play power forward and get boards and do everything for the team. A big connector, something that really works well with Jokic, and just even getting Hardaway Jr., someone that can stretch the floor, shoot, get hot. I really like what they've done. I wouldn't be surprised if they were to pick up another player, maybe free agency, because I think they could probably do one more, but definitely the deepest I've seen this team in a long, long time. And I think there's high upside for Peyton Watson. Looks to be a good 3-and-D type player. If his shot can come consistent, they've got a hell of a player there. So I'm smashing the overs. I think it's not going to be close. I got him at 55, 56 wins. And I know what you said, they're probably cruising, but sometimes it feels like with Jokic out there, they just cruise anyway. So I'm sucking the overs.
I'm going to go off you. I'm going to say the same thing. I think the under isn't a bad take in terms of the regular season idea, of them not taking it seriously, but I do think their roster is just well and ahead better than a lot of these other Western Conference teams. I think I clearly have them better than the Lakers, the Clippers. Personally, I have them better than definitely than Minnesota this year. I think last year was a real conversation, but I think this year, I think they're way better than Minnesota. And I think they even, again, I think with Houston's injury to Fred VanVleet, I do think it leaves an open option for them to even be better than the Rockets this year by a good margin. Obviously, they have pieces. The Rockets have a really good team, but I think Denver is the second best team in the West for me, clearly, in my opinion, right now. It wouldn't be as clear if, again, Fred VanVleet was there. He's just that big for Houston, but I have them at 56, 57 wins. I think what Nathan said is 100% true. I think they are going to be on cruise mode, even if they're not at their best, just because Jokic is that good. I think Jamal Murray's going to have a big year this year, like you said. I think you brought up a good point. I think he wants to be healthy for once and actually make an all-star team and be in that conversation of one of the best point guards in the league this year. Cam Johnson is such a big pickup for them, not only because of his shooting that he replicates for MPJ. I know MPJ might be a better shooter off the dribble, but I think in terms of spot up, and I think defensively, he's going to be a much better defender than MPJ was. I think he's a much more mobile defender.
It's a big upgrade
he's
defensively. It's a massive upgrade.
I think health wise, he's going to be better too. He's a very reliable player in terms of health. He always remains healthy. I think Bruce Brown is a big pickup for them. And Christian Braun, I think, is going to have another big jump this year in his production. I think he'll be around a 17, 18 point per game scorer potentially. With good efficiency, he'll be a good shooter. He's an unbelievable rebounder for his size, a good defender. I just really like to see him. I think Aaron Gordon too. I think Aaron Gordon you can't forget Aaron Gordon either. Aaron Gordon will always be in the mix as their power forward. He's always a good player for them. He's been a perfect fit next to Jokic since he's been there, and he's going to continue to be that same fit. Obviously, the injury last year was unfortunate in the Game 7. I think there would have been a little bit of a tighter game if he was able to play at 100%, but it is what it is. I think they're going to be around a 57, 56 win team for sure. I also think they have established. I think their coach isn't that bad. I think this is a test for him though. He's coming off being an interim for Mike Malone, so him coming in and kind of being the interim, getting to a Game 7 against OKC. Now he's going to be kind of full time for the first year. Curious to see how he does, and we'll see if he's able to hold up and do his thing. But I take the over on this one for sure. I think they're the second seed this year.
Man, I full forgot that they got a new coach too. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he goes, but there was high raps of him in the EuroLeague that he was a good coach. So I guess, I think it was him.
He's a solid. When I saw him in the postseason, he did a solid job. He did a pretty good job in the postseason, reeling them in when they were in tough and struggles, or when they were.
He was a decent coach.
Yeah, he did a good. Listen, again, you're talking about one of the only teams that took Denver to 7 games. I mean, took OKC to 7 games last year outside of Indiana. that can't be laughed at. That can't be something that's sneezed at, especially with the injuries they dealt with. They get to 7 games against the reigning champs. I mean, you're talking about they had a chance to take him down if they had clutched up in one of those games early on, right? They blew one of those games. You think they probably would have won in 6 if they beat one of them in that one? I think it was one of the first 2 games they blew one of the leads.
I'm sure
They won
OKC were
that
very
game.
scared of them.
Yeah,
They
they
were
win
very
that
scared of them.
game. They win that game. You're talking about a different series. You're talking about Denver maybe going to the finals, and now you're talking about who knows what happens then, right? So
yes, it's
they're a tough.
I'm probably thinking of the wrong
team, man.
coach here, but yeah.
Yeah, and they got better. They got better. Yeah, but that's it. That's all I got.
Well, we'll move on. I like your take. I like it. I said, like I said, I don't think the Nuggets are bad. I just think that
Yeah.
maybe
Sure.
they'll prime for the offseason. But I could be extremely wrong here, and they could hit like even 60+ wins and just be like, "Fuck you, OKC. We want to be the number 1 seed." But we'll move on to them. They've obviously hit 68 wins last year. They're the reigning champs. They've got the reigning MVP. Their team is one of the youngest in the league, and they just get another year older. They're at 63.5 wins, and I'm going to make a start here. I think they're smashing the overs. I am that confident that they're going to go that high in the overs that they might reach 70 wins. They got 68 wins without Chet Holmgren playing a portion of the season, like 10 or so weeks he was out, and they still managed to get that many wins. They've only got older. They've got more experience under their belt. I think they want to chase records, regular season records too. I think they're the type of team that want to go for all-time records and make history. And I think they're really going to push for 70 wins. The only team that I'm really worried for is in the playoffs when they come against the Nuggets, or else I have them winning the NBA championship as well. I think they make quick work of any Eastern Conference team. So even they play maybe each team twice, which is 30 games against them. That's an easy 30 wins or 28 wins, in my opinion. So that's where they're going to get most of their wins for. And then that leaves about, maybe 50 games against the Western Conference teams. And even if they go like maybe 3/4 of losses, they probably still hit that 65 mark. So yeah, I've got them smacking the over. I think 63.5 wins is trying to tell us that they might take the gas off the brakes during the regular season. But when their team is so young, so deep, and they have SGA, who is probably going to try to get back-to-back MVPs, another scoring title, he's not going to take any days off. And then you got Chet Holmgren, who, if he stays healthy, will play the whole season, and that's just going to give him an extra 2, 3, 4 wins at bare minimum with the 10 weeks that he came off. Like, I'm smacking the overs here. It couldn't be any more smacking, I'll be honest.
I'm taking unders here. Believe.
Wow.
I'm taking unders here. I'm
How
going
many wins?
not that much though. I'm not going like crazy unders. I think they're a 60-win team, but I don't see them going for 64. I just think I think the teams got stronger. So I don't think there's going to be as easy. I know they're better. They're the best team in the West, no doubt. I still think they win.
Chet Holmgren wasn't there. They had 68 wins. Doesn't that?
Yeah, but I think Jalen Williams is hurt right now to start the season right now. He's coming off wrist surgery, so they're not going to have him for a little bit of time. Listen, Chet's another guy again. He's in and out of the lineup sometimes, He's in and out of the lineup sometimes. I'm not saying they can't win without him. Obviously, they can win. I just think it's hard to replicate 65+ wins again. And I think they'll get to 60, but I think they'll get like 60 to 61. I think towards the end of the year, they'll probably tail off again, get themselves ready for the playoffs. Similar to how you said about Denver, I think you see the same thing happen with OKC. Not saying they're going to let off the gas. I just think they're not going to push as hard for 65 wins as they would have this past year, where now they're experienced. They said, okay, we know we can win 70, 65 games. Like, they can. They're capable of doing that, no doubt. But I think they're looking at the big picture. They're going to say, you know what, end of the year, let's say we're at like 58 wins. We're like at 55, 56 wins. We're locking up the first seed. We could go for a couple more, but let's take it easy. Let's keep our guys healthy. Let's get our stuff together. Let's keep Chet healthy. Let's keep Jalen Williams healthy. And I think 62 wins. I think 62 wins is where they end up. I think it's right under the line. I don't think they end up at like 65, 66. I think 62 wins is a fair line for me, in my opinion. If they went under by 1 or 2, I think that's fair. That's my personal take.
I just think they're so young. They're so young, and they're not that team that would they don't give me that vibe that they'll just like take a rest and just prime for playoffs. I think they just want to go at everyone's throat,
It's
no
a
matter
fair
what
point.
game
Again,
it is.
they could go either way. They're the first seed without
It's true.
like you said. They're the favorites to win the chip. They should. They
think
will dog walk any team if they come out in the East. I do think no team in the East has. I don't even think Cleveland, New York. And I'm a
there's
Knicks
not a
fan.
team,
I don't think the Knicks have. I don't think the Knicks have a chance. I think they could take games. I'm not saying they can't win a game, but I just think OKC is too strong in a 7-game series. To ask to win 7 games it's a tough task. I mean, you saw Indiana took almost everything out of Halliburton, left whatever he had left to even get them to 7 games, and he got injured in the end. So again, they're a tough team to beat, but yeah, I would say 62 wins, clear favorite in the league, best team in the West, and I think if they make the finals, I think they're winning again. They're going back to back.
I reckon it's a great line because, yeah, similar to Kenny, I had him penciled in for 62. And it's real close because it go either way. But like you were saying, I feel like they've won, they know how to win, and they just got to get that first seed. And once they lock it up, they're not going to worry about stacking those wins too much. Similar to like the Cavs last season and how they got ahead and they just kind of went into cruise control. And I hear what he's saying. Chet has shown that he has injury problems. I mean, he missed his first season being injured. And obviously, going into the season, J Dub, he's injured as well. Obviously, they got great depth pieces and they're going to win. They got Shea. He's a MVP candidate, MVP of the league. So him alone is going to get you wins. But I think probably to start the season, they might try giving some young guys a shot, see how Topic goes into the lineup, see how some of these two.
He's got stuff on his balls. He can't play.
That's crazy.
Damn. And even their first round pick, Thomas Sorber, got injured too, missing the whole season. So maybe comes back to their 10 picks. Maybe they got to make some trades and maybe get some talent in there. But no, they got a deep roster. They can still give minutes to players like Usman Yang. He hasn't really had a shot, and then there's 2-way guys on the team can give a shot.
I don't think that guy's going to touch the floor, if I'm honest.
Hey man, when you got your team so good, you can afford to put a guy out there that's not doing much. So
maybe.
But yeah, like I said, I reckon it'll be close. I'm penciling them for 62, but yeah, they're definitely the strongest team in the league in my opinion. So I wouldn't be surprised if they went over.
Yeah, fair play. I mean, I think our top 4 is quite different, but we can definitely say our top 3 potentially is a lock.
Yeah.
I think
the top 3
for me,
honestly, I feel like the top 3 is
I can make an argument for Minnesota getting in there over the Rockets, to be honest. But other than that, I think is the OKC Thunder. It could be Denver at 4, but maybe second, realistically. If not, I think the Rockets go ahead of them slightly. Minnesota make a big push, and then Denver could be 4th, just for this regular season.
Dan, I have a question though for you, right? I have a question.
Tell me.
Obviously, you said you think Denver probably like 4th. You said you'd put Denver like 4th, right? Like, is that just regular season, or you think in terms of rankings, where would you put Denver in terms of just as a team?
No, rankings, it would be Denver second, OKC first.
All right, no, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I just curious. I mean, again, I think the standings, again, we talk about the over-unders, but in terms of team, I was just curious to see what you thought about them as just a roster.
I'm very high on the Nuggets. I think I just like them for the playoffs and building for the playoffs rather than the regular season, as mentioned before.
Yeah.
That's I think that pretty much wraps up all the unders overs. That wraps it all up. As a quick little recap, we all went under on the Utah Jazz. We all went over on the Portland Trailblazers. I went over on the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think both of you went under there. I, on the opposite, went under the Clippers. You both went over on the Clippers. The Rockets, I think we all got over that there. Did Nathan have you under? Or
I may have gone under by 1. Like I said, it was right on the money. I reckon the 52 wins.
Yeah. The Mavericks, I had under. You both had over. So still against each other. The Spurs, think myself and Kenny had over. Nate had under. The Warriors, I had under. Nathan had over. Kenny had under.
I had under too. Yeah, I had under too.
Yes. The Phoenix Suns, myself and Kenny went over. Nathan went under.
Hard.
The Sacramento Kings, I think we all went under there.
Yep.
Me smacking it. The Memphis Grizzlies,
smacking
we
under
also,
there.
Kenny smacked that under them too. We also went under on the Grizzlies as well.
Mhm.
Yep. The Nuggets, I went, as recently said, I went over. Both of you went under. I went under. You both went over. Apologies.
Yep.
The Pelicans, we all went under. I think Kenny went over slightly.
I went over by like a win or two. Yeah, I didn't go over much.
Yeah, that's good. And I think the Lakers, I went over, Kenny went over, Nathan went under as well. And I think that finishes it off with OKC, which we've just mentioned, me taking the over and both of you guys taking the under ever so slightly.
Yeah.
But before we wrap that up, which has been great, I want to quickly just rapid firely get our player awards and coach of the awards. So I'm going to start. My MVP is going to be Jokic. My hot take, though, if I was to choose a hot take MVP candidate, it would be Cade Cunningham. The defensive player of the year unanimously should be Wemby. Most improved is going to go to Eamon Thompson. I've got Andrew Nembhard and Trey Murphy as potential candidates there. The clutch player of the year will go to Shea. I think if it's not going to go to an MVP, I think he'll take the clutch player of the year. It's quite contradictory that I've given Jokic MVP with a 4th seed thinking about it, but I might have to retake my logic. But the rookie of the year, Cooper Flag, I think there's no questions asked. And the coach of the year will go to Jamal Mosley from the Orlando Magic.
I got MVP Luka, rookie of the year Cooper Flag, DPOY Wemby, most improved player I got Andrew Nembhard, clutch player of the year I got Trae Young, 6th man of the year I also got Josh Hart, and coach of the year I got Chauncey Billups.
Okay.
Ooh, wow.
Let's
I like that one.
go.
Yeah, I forgot to mention my 6th man of the year. It was also Josh Hart as well.
And do we get defensive player of the year?
Yeah, Wemby. I'm pretty sure that's going to be unanimous across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Wemby's going to be unbelievable. I think actually kind of like an underdog for that. I think Amon Thompson's an underdog. No, I have Amon.
I'm joking.
That's a good. All-Star can be there one day though. All right, that's it for me though. Season awards. What do you think about the clutch player Trae Young? What do you think about that? You like that or no?
The what?
The clutch player of the year. You think Trae Young? You think Keen?
I like that.
Pretty solid pick. I don't think it's I think the SGA pick is really good though too. I was looking at I actually, funny enough, I had Trae, SGA, and I also had Luka in there too, because I think Luka could have some big moments.
I have to put a bet on one of these guys, man. I'm gonna have to do it.
I'm gonna have to put it on all the things I say, to be honest. MVP, defensive player, rookie, most improved, 6th man of the year, coach, clutch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just need the clutch. I like the trade one. That's a good one, but fuck, I can't do that. That's fucked. I was gonna do Bankero. Clutch. Edwards is favorite? What? Okay, that's a bit wild.
Bro, you're taking too long, man. Now you're fucking me off.
Suck it, bro. Anyway, I'm ready. All right, so for me, I'm going MVP, Jokic, lock. Defensive player of the year, I'm going Victor as well. Rookie, Cooper Flag. Most improved player, I'm going Denny Advia. 6th man of the year, Josh Hart.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, Mosley again. Magic look good. And clutch player of the year, I'm just going to go Kevin Durant.
Wow, I like that.
That's actually not a bad pick either.
Yeah.
Very interesting ones. I just put a multi on all the ones that I did, and it's paying $222K. So I only put $1 on it. So just to do it for a laugh. But if that went through, that would be hilarious. But,
if it goes through, you can update that studio.
That's a new studio right there.
Yeah,
that's a new studio.
I'll start flying you over, Kenny, for in-person studio talks.
Yes,
we're in the works of getting one, so don't you worry. That's happening very, very soon. But the last thing before we finish, we got the 2 games that are happening this morning. We can't go on without tipping Rockets versus Thunder. Warriors got Lakers. I've got the Thunder and I've got the Warriors beating the Lakers for this first game.
And I second that.
Yeah,
all the way.
Same thing. Thunder Warriors. That's about it.
Man,
Nice.
I can't wait for it to be back, baby.
Yes, I've got to get my multi set up.
keen for the multis. Not trying to go
Multis
too hard
in,
on them, but the
fantasy
opening
lineup
NBA
in.
day multis. Be exciting. NBA's back. 4 hours of recording, maybe a little bit over 4 hours, but we've got it done. We went through the over and unders, and either we all look like expert basketball analysts and we get recruited into a job, or we just look like complete nuffies. We'll never know. You know how the NBA season
or we get hired
works.
as good bookies. Or we get hired as good bookies for helping people.
Either or.
Gamble responsibly.
Exactly.
Gamble
Of course.
responsibly for sure.
Gamble responsibly for sure. But either or, it's been great discussing hoops with my boys and going through the East and Western Conference takes. And yeah, really excited for the NBA season. This has obviously got me way more keen now. Again, hoping to release this episode as soon as the East one comes out so we can have both part contents. We'll leave chapters on for each team if you want to cover your team. Obviously, it's a big podcast here. Not expecting everyone to completely listen to all of it. That's why we have our teams separated. But again, it's been a pleasure, boys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, we're going to run this back again, especially probably each month, maybe just to do some NBA talk and see how the teams are going. If we're liking it right now, and if everyone's liking this,
you should keep a record of these over unders. I'm curious to see where we end up towards the end of the year, mid season. We'll see how we'll pick up on it.
We'll most definitely do a end of season review and try to get back on these over and unders for sure. But again, It's been your boy Daniel. You listen to the Huddle Within. I've been with Kenny. I've been with Nathan, and it's been a pleasure, boys, once again. And I'll catch you guys next week on normal preceding episodes. Cheers.
Thanks
Good
for having
to be
me.
back, baby. Happy to be back with the NBA. Let's go, baby. Hype.
So that's a wrap for this week's episode of the Huddle Within podcast. I appreciate you for tuning in and being part of this community where we go beyond the game and into what really matters. If this episode resonated with you, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who sees sports just the way that we do. And hey, I'd love to hear from you. Connect with me on my social medias, which will be linked below. Send in your thoughts and even be part of a future episode. Until next time, keep that passion alive, stay in the huddle, and remember, it's always deeper than the game. Cheers.